Fairy tales of blood and wine. Turtles on the way down the line. But we still roam till we go home. Other realms our souls must roam to and through.
Turtles All the Way Down podcast on Southtown Media.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It has been a little while, but this right here is Turtles All the Way Down. And I do want to inform you, everybody that was watching the intro, we're going to get a new one, and that is not Ashton Kutcher. And we are not affiliated with Diddy parties in any kind of way that I know of. But if I do receive the right amount of money, I will probably go. So will Nick. He already discussed that in full length.
The fuck I will. The fuck I fucking will. Fuck that.
It's not about the sex, guys. It's about the money. I don't do all
about the
stuff.
experience, right? It's about the experience.
That's what Diddy's playing, huh? It's about the money.
It's like someone saying they have a favorite serial killer. You know, that's not really what you mean. You know, you don't. You know.
Real quick, pardon me. I will be right back. I need to let my dog out real quick. She is freaking out. I apologize.
No,
Hope
that's
you guys
all right.
She wants to go to that Diddy party. She's excited.
I'll deal with it.
She's excited about that Diddy party.
She's so excited. She's a tender gal. Tender and as in sweet and soft, not
that pot stop. No.
you right now. You guys can get on and meet a beautiful dog named Leica. She's sweet. She likes long walks. She likes long walks on the beach. Yeah, that's all.
Oh man. So how are you guys doing today? Oh, he froze. Oh no.
He is froze.
Jesus.
Froze to the mows.
I thought he's doing like a really good bit right now where he's just, he's trolling
He's
us.
trying to get out of this segment, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't want to watch Chris Chan. He doesn't want to learn.
Hey man, this ain't no Zoom call, bro.
You ever see those courtroom Zoom calls that gone wrong?
Yeah. There be people be getting shanked in the freaking jail cell and shit. That's just wild, man.
There was one I saw where it was like a guy who had a restraining order for his girlfriend, right? Like he wasn't allowed to be near her, and they were doing like the Zoom courtroom case, right? And in the middle of it, the judge is just like, I have reason to believe he's in the same house as her.
He's trying to get his voice back here.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Have
He's coming through. We can hear him slowly. He's coming. He's cutting in and out.
Hey, this is time travel at its finest. You know that?
Oh shit! Is he stuck in another time warp?
He is a time warp machine right now.
Or like I said, he's doing like the best bit ever of just like staying like this and just fucking with us. This is the whole show. It's just Kelsey staying like this.
Yeah, he's just going.
Hey, he's that dude with the green screen behind his back and shit. It's just riding down a bicycle.
Oh my god! Wait, hold on. What the fuck is his background, Kelsey? Well, I can't hear you. What is like when you come back? You need to explain. What am I seeing in the back? What's in the top left corner of that?
I don't see anything on his background. His background is gray for me.
It's gray.
Yeah, it's just gray.
One of the things it says, which I know you get demonetized on YouTube, so I can't say the actual word, but it rhymes with what's the best way I can put it? Danal Grapist.
There he is.
Hey guys, I'm back. Just like sorry, it took a second.
And there goes Shelby. Just as you come back in, Shelby evaporated.
It can only be three at a time. That's kind of the the world trying to tell us that.
But no, I was going to say real quick with that. Oh, good.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, did you hear anything about the courtroom casing I was talking about real quick?
No, because I literally got out to get in to try to refresh everything.
It was a Zoom courtroom case because I was joking about you being frozen. He mentioned a Zoom call, and it was this guy who had a restraining order like from his girlfriend, and they fucking what happened was when they were doing the Zoom call for the court or whatnot, the judge in the middle of it was just like, I have reason to believe he's actually in the house with her right now, and he's just like, no, I'm not. Like, what are you talking about? Like, can you show us your house? And he goes, I can't show you right now. And then they immediately, like in the middle of that, already sent someone to go check on her. and they heard a knock on the door from his computer. Like, can you go answer that door, please? And he's just like,
Oh,
so they found out,
man.
and he goes, I'm sorry, I just thought, you know, he's trying to get away with it, but obviously, like, no, they caught him in that house with her.
I'm just under the bed. That's all I'm doing.
Good on this judge, man.
No, it wasn't the
Damn,
judge.
bro.
It was the lawyer.
It was the prosecution.
Yeah, prosecutor. Yeah.
Oh dang.
Wow.
He get a
I
bonus
mean, but-
at the end of that trial, huh? Go ahead, Kev.
No, I was saying, I just, I mean, if that don't show the dude he's not all there, but I mean, I've seen criminals get in trouble for worse. You know, if you've ever seen that clip where there's like a guy who was talking to this undercover police officer, as a female, and he goes, and the court's repeating him, and it's just like, and you said to the undercover officer, "You are thicker than a bowl of grits." And right when he says that, he just goes,
That don't call you guilty. I don't know what the fuck.
I don't know if he got any leniency for that, but I mean, that was a classic moment, you know?
Yeah.
That's
I bet
beautiful.
Diddy did the same thing when they presented the sex tapes.
I don't know if they showed him, since he's been sent out in court case, bro. He looks like he just got out of slavery or something, bro. They tried to hold him up and they made him look rough. Like,
Yeah.
the dude
They
looks like
dropped
he's
some of
been,
his charges.
Apparently, huh?
They dropped some of his charges.
Did they?
they dropped.
Yeah. They dropped some of them. They're pursuing something else now, but they dropped a lot of his, or at least like a chunk of his charges or some shit. I don't remember. I don't know what the reason why was. I just been seeing that go over the place.
That's
I mean, but
crazy.
is his
That's
sex
wild.
trafficking part still on the table? Because at that point, if that's off
That's
the
kind of
table, I'm
huge.
just like, yeah,
think that- hold on,
it
I can
is
look that up
huge,
real
and it's
quick. Give me
also
one
like the
sec.
rest of you is just you're gross. I mean, that's not illegal to be
You're
gross.
just-
That's not
You're
illegal,
just a
no.
freak,
But like
bro.
a large-scale criminal enterprise spanning decades. That's pretty interesting. I want to hear about that, please.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at it now. No, I'm not paying for your fucking subscription. Go fuck yourself. I just wanted to read the charges that got dropped. God damn it. Fucking hold on.
Nick, if you want to
Yeah,
pull it up,
USA
just hit the present button, and I can pull it up.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get. It's like, oh, you're using an ad blocker because I'm using fucking Opera GX. So,
Okay.
fuck you. Yeah, disable ad blocker. This is gonna be hard.
He's
to
doing that. You hear about Jeff Bezos suing Katy Perry about the spaceship rocket incident, her opening the capsule before he
Why?
because it defrauded him or something. It discriminated him or something like that. I can't explain it, but yeah, he's suing her. That's crazy.
It was symbolic because it's a white capsule, and a white man's opening up too quick, I suppose. And
pretty much.
he identified with that.
I saw
He's
that
hollow inside. There's nothing there.
Jeff Bezos had a wedding recently, and for his wedding, he rented out as his wedding venue the entire fucking city of Venice. So the people who live in Venice have just been like putting up dummies and floaties of Jeff Bezos. They have like a floaty of Jeff Bezos drowning, and they just sent it down the canal right in front of his fucking wedding.
How do you
All
rent
right,
out
I'm
a
gonna
whole
bring it up right
fucking
now.
city?
You
Go
have
ahead, Nick.
you have
Fucking do that.
$256 billion. That's how.
I bet it was 1 billion, huh, to rent it out.
Dude, that's higher than the GDP of some countries, implying that Jeff Bezos could buy entire
There
fucking
you go.
countries if he really wanted to.
That's just crazy.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so
You want me to go
here's
ahead?
right here.
All right, don't
so-
copyright. You got to paraphrase.
For those on
Yeah.
Spotify, it says Sean Diddy Combs is still behind bars as a criminal trial. And as his criminal trial is nearing the end, but some charges have been dropped by the prosecution. Here's what has changed and how much prison time he may serve. Combs was arrested, blah, 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 in Manhattan. He was indicted and charged with 2 charges of sex trafficking, 2 charges of transportation to engage in prostitution and racketeering conspiracy. The music, fashion, entertainment mogul. He says he's innocent, and the prosecutor had 30 people take the stand over the last few weeks to build their case. And it included a myriad of freak off sex videos.
I'm reading here that they explicitly dropping alleged attempted kidnapping,
Mhm.
anything relating to arson, and anything in context of aiding and abetting in sex trafficking charges. He
Oh,
is
is that
still
what?
facing full sex trafficking charges defined as
Mhm.
by force, fraud, or coercion, racketeering conspiracy, which is just old classic mob
That's
shit. I hope they RICO the whole fucking crew, and
That's
transportation
all
for
they're gonna
prostitution.
stick him on is racketeering and nothing else. That's all they got.
You're so
Yeah.
confident, Shelby. I like,
He's seen the case
They
files.
don't
He's
have
seen the
all they
case
got.
files. It's all in
I'm just saying,
Discovery.
that's how it is, bro. I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't have evidence of sex trafficking because I'm pretty sure he wasn't sex trafficking shit. He was just a
I mean,
fucking freak, bro.
by legal definition,
Yeah.
doing anything related that could even be loosely defined as pimping is sex trafficking. And he has been bragging about that shit nonstop for 30 years.
Yeah. No, he
Well,
it says
apparently
here
they
too, and
just
I'm
caught
sure
on to it, man. It,
it's
ain't that a statute of limitations though?
Not if he was doing it last
not,
year.
not, not,
yeah,
not
if he was
Yeah, not if
continuously
he was-
doing it, like
I mean, they arrested his adult son too, who's only like what, 25?
Yeah,
So
that-
that implies that
there-
this is a family enterprise and they were doing it pretty recently.
there are certain things. I mean, I guess it depends on the state, country, and all that kind of things. But there are certain acts like murder, and I'm assuming sex trafficking, where the statute of limitations
I don't care.
are extremely long or non-existent.
Especially
I'm a lawyer,
especially
so I
cities
don't
like
know.
New York, who very recently in history had a really big issue with sex trafficking, like on a large scale.
yeah. No,
I
but
just
he's
like
gonna
when they were hunting down the Nazis, right? And it was like they found those like 70 or 80 ones. It's like, come on, man, that was like 40 years ago.
Like,
Jesus
I'm in
Christ.
my 80s.
No, I was
man.
gonna
I've
say
done
like
I've done charity work since.
oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
God.
sense.
I'm
Yeah,
a
I
Pinch it, man.
adopted a fucking highway.
jeez. I was
I'm a
gonna
local
say
businessman.
oh god, no. I was gonna say though, but like the fact that they're like still like, oh, it's 15 to like maximum or no, carry a minimum of 15 years to life and like at maximum 10 years. I'm like, dude, he just needs to go away. Like he just needs to fucking go away. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
but
what's
he-
that
he
gonna
should
do?
he
though?
should
I
not
mean,
be out at all.
If he catches the full sex trafficking and the full racketeering charges, because he's so high profile, he will probably end up in max security to a certain degree for his own protection, not even because
and that's
he's like a threat to
that's like
others.
that's like a vacation.
Not
basically.
Max, not Max. He might
Oh,
be
no,
one of
not
those
Max.
celebrities.
Yeah, no, not
Yeah,
Max. but,
like Bill Cosby got sent to a fucking summer camp. What the Diddy's being accused of? He's not getting sent to no fucking summer camp.
Let's
Yeah.
take a moment to appreciate that picture. Go back. Bring the
Oh, go back,
picture
go back.
I had.
Oh
I
yeah,
had
hold
something
on.
to
Okay,
say
let me go
about
back.
that.
Sorry,
Are
my bad.
you appreciating that during his incarceration, Diddy no longer has access to hair dye, and everyone can
There
see
you
how
go.
geriatric and pathetic he is?
Exactly. And look at that. Look at that little arched eyebrow. Is that him making an eye, or are they trying to make him look more like a black Santa Claus?
I think it's
Look at
very
that arching
villainous,
eyebrow.
right? He looks like a Disney villain, right? He looks like a Disney villain that's out there kidnapping
Oh,
toddlers.
God.
Hey, my thing is, why is the court illustration so cartoonish? Why can't
Because
they be more realistic?
Because
that's an old-
unless it's a specific reasons, like it's O.J. Simpson or some shit like that, typically photography and videos are not allowed while court is in session. So this has always been someone's job, is to draw courtroom scenes, because you're not allowed to photograph in there.
You trying to make these
Yeah.
people poor, Shelby? You trying to
Why
run them
can't
out
that job?
into extinction?
I really
Yeah,
wish
but-
this was like filmed and shit too.
Yeah,
Why can I get that job? I can do that.
'cause you
you
suck at
absolutely
drawing.
can. And there's
Five-year-old do
nothing
that,
stopping you from that.
motherfucker.
Go down to local courthouse and be like, "Hey, who do you guys got drawing your court scenes? I'm
He's
really
just like,
good at
check-
drawing people fucking weep."
Hey, I
It's
would be
just-
drawing
it's
stick
kind of like the
figures and
always.
shit,
It's kind of like the always sunny. It's kind of like, and he's just drawing like big titty women. He's like, see, I was very generous with the ample breasts.
You said
like,
sex
there's-
trafficking. That's just black as shit.
He's like, "Sir, the defendant was male. Who is this?" And you're like, "Some lady in the back."
That's
Yeah,
where the
big
story.
numbers.
That's where.
That's
That's
the
where the
real money
case
right there. That's what the people want to see.
But what's the But for real, though, what's the purpose of the illustrations for the court, though? What is the purpose of that, though?
Because it's for like back in the day, it was for like newspapers and shit, right? Like people reading
Yeah.
the news still wanted to know what was happening in court cases. If like, let's say 100 years ago, some local townsperson was accused of a heinous fucking murder, But because you're not allowed in the court because it's a closed court, you don't get to see the look on his face when they deliver the guilty verdict. That's why this has always been a job. I'm get paid to draw the despair on that fucker's face when he gets the guilty verdict so that they can put it in the paper tomorrow.
And there's normal
Yeah.
people like us but you got to remember, Shelby, this is a callback to one of our older episodes for Turk. There's people like Turk who refuse to read, and he gets everything he needs to know.
He needs picture book. He needs his pictures for his stories, right?
You got me on that one. Yeah.
What? He's not interested. He don't see that devilishly arched eyebrow Diddy with a 50.
Hey, Turkey. Hey, Turkey will read that shit and they'd be subscribing to the picture. Turkey be like, I don't know that scene. Oh, I get it now. The picture shows it all. What the fuck?
He looks like a villain fucking Keith David would play, man.
He looks at it. It's that one photo. He's like, that motherfucker's guilty.
I like how they do him. He had look like he had a flat top.
I was like,
Yeah.
he got that 50s.
Yeah.
He got that 50s pompadour perm. He looks like fucking Percy Sledge or Sam Cooke.
He's got that I'm 70 fucking years old, but I'm pretending I'm 55 look, you know?
There's a fucking
little
his eyes look so fucked in that drawing too. Like they're just like beady little eyes, and I know these are meant to be like wrinkles or something. It looks like there's like cracked in his eyes or something. Like he's like possessed or some shit. Like, I
Dude,
don't know how to
reminds
explain
me-
that.
Sean Combs is 55.
It
He
does.
just had a rough run.
It
Mhm.
does make me think of that specific Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen, and the police have got them. They're questioning him like, "What is your name?" And he's like, "Père Noel," you know, fucking.
Yeah, Damon
Miss
every
Kringle?
fucking.
He's like P Diddy, Diddy Lion, P Puff Daddy,
So
Puffy,
anybody,
won't stop.
we were just talking about this earlier. Anybody got bets on who's going down with Diddy in this legal case? Because I got some theories. I got some
Oh
bets.
man,
Yeah, he was naming some big ass names, bro.
Number
too.
one, I think this is gonna bring down Usher. That's my number one.
Usher
theory
or
right now.
Ashton Kutcher, one of the
Ashton
two.
Oh
Kutcher
yeah,
for sure. Ashton Kutcher for
Ashton
sure.
and Mila
Like-
are gonna get implicated in this. somehow.
Yeah.
They're both.
I was
they're both
gonna say maybe not Usher, because he seems like Usher seems like he's like in the eyes of all this, he can portray this as like, and he probably was allegedly a fucking victim at the time
Yeah.
too, because like
Well, but
I
that's
think
the
he
thing,
started as a victim. It gets weird with the whole Bieber thing.
no, I'm not
That's
saying
what
that
I'm
didn't
talking
happen
about.
either, but what I'm saying is like he can literally, like, if he was or was not involved in the more heinous shit in terms of like willingly and whatnot, but like, you know, was just a victim or whatever he did, whatever he was involved with, he can just spin this in the public eye as him just being a victim overall. So
yeah.
like
you
for
could,
him,
but at the same time, like there's a very common pattern that pedophiles are often so because they were molested as children themselves.
oh
right?
no, absolutely,
There's
yeah.
so like I feel if that's the case, right? And let's just say hypothetically, Diddy
Yeah.
did to Usher what Usher did to Bieber. Usher
Yeah.
goes to prison too at the end of the day. That's
Oh no,
rough,
absolutely, absolutely.
Even
right?
more
That's
so,
really bad.
even
But
more
we-
so,
but
we're
we-
talking to about a self-confessed sex addict, which I always thought was a nonsensical.
Confessions part
concept.
1, 2, and 3, dog.
If you're a true sex addict, you want to fuck anything. I'm just
You gotta let
saying.
it burn, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta let it burn.
I mean,
Oh,
we got to let it burn, and we can all agree he's got it bad.
You guys are getting these songs stuck in my head. I do not want them stuck in my head right now. Fucking hell.
Second, another theory. Ashton and Mila are looking pretty bad too. They were already looking pretty bad during the Danny Masterson stuff. I think it's
Oh yeah,
interesting
no,
that
definitely.
like of the entire cast of that '70s show, Topher Grace, who at the time had by far the most problematic reputation, is the only cast member to come out of this show untouched in terms of like really heinous shit. Every
What
other
about
one.
Valderrama?
What about Fez?
Valderrama, it keeps texting minors and keeps getting caught texting minors and lying about.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that, big dog. I didn't
That's-
know
Oh
about that.
no, dude!
I said,
No,
good
what the
day.
fuck?
Good day,
Fez,
sir.
dude, Fez's
Good
you realize
day.
Fez's Snapchat is filled with 15-year-old girls. That's real shit.
That's not
I
his
believe
fault,
you.
though.
I believe. It's not his fault, dog.
Fucking
just gonna
Laura
praise
Prepon,
his
Donna, she's a
image, bro.
Scientologist and helped Danny Masterson cover up a lot of stuff. Like they're all tainted.
What about Red?
Both Red and I'm forgetting the Kitty. Both Red and Kitty, both of those actors, massive Danny Masterson supporters during his case, wrote letters of support to the judge advocating for his character.
Oh yeah, no, they
All right.
definitely did that. Yeah.
I hear you with that, but I'll counter with, have you ever seen RoboCop, man?
I have seen RoboCop, and
What's that
typically,
got to do with anything?
typically dudes who are really good
Red
at playing
Foreman's
heinous
in RoboCop.
motherfuckers are probably heinous motherfuckers.
What about Bob?
Maybe you got me there. Maybe he's like, I don't know,
Well,
giving money to Salvation Army every year and like helping
Well,
out.
he
about
gets
Leo?
Leo from the show.
What
a
about
lot.
Leo?
Yeah, I
Cheating
guess
Tom?
Tommy Chong's also untouched. Tommy and Topher.
Yeah,
Smiling,
I was gonna say
smiling
there
golden
is
boys.
there is one person I'm pretty confident is probably going to go down with him. And if you guys remember Cuba Gooding Jr., right?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen what he
Radio.
looks like? Yeah. Have you seen what he looks like recently?
No, I haven't.
Radio.
No.
Hold on. Let's see if I can pull.
What's
up
he got
on-
to tie into this? I haven't heard this.
No, he
Nick-
apparently
Nick's
was
the one that told me
allegedly
about
like.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead.
Apparently he was involved in some stuff where allegedly, again, I have to say that because just in case, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
Diddy would like hook him up, like would bring men over, and like if Cuba was interested, he'd just start like trying to go after them pretty much, and Diddy would just encourage it. Like he was just
So he was a
pretty much the
closet-
equivalent of bringing lambs to a slaughter practically, and the slaughter just happened to be Cuba Gooding Jr.
They were men. I thought they were women that you were talking about, Nick.
No, it was men.
Dude,
it was
oh.
other guys.
Yeah, it was. I heard this exact same story about the Diddy parties, but it was about Chris Tucker. Are you sure it was Cuba?
It was Cuba too. Cuba. Hold on, let me type in. I'm trying to find a picture I found where he just does not look like he looks rough as fuck right now.
He
in
does
this
look rough as
picture.
shit. He does look rough as
Yeah,
shit.
but hold on, let me see if I can find a Diddy like stuff. Hold on.
He's aging away because he hadn't had no young boys thing to suck on.
Okay,
He
hold
says
up.
he's praying for Diddy.
That top headline is not looking good, Cuba. My guy.
He don't judge
Oh,
anybody.
no.
He don't judge anybody.
You don't judge anybody?
Not
That's
even
crazy.
I want to be like
He's
dude,
praying for
like,
Diddy, bro.
see, here's the thing, right? With like an allegation like this is a very severe one and a broad one, right? If it's like maybe one and it's your best bud, right? And you're not entirely sure, and you've never seen any evidence of this, right? Then maybe I can see you getting away with being like, yeah, he might be innocent. I'm gonna pray for him, whatnot, right? But if there's numerous fucking allegations, numerous witnesses, numerous testimonies, all this fucking stacked up fucking evidence looking
And
real
then
bad
go
on your
back
friend's side,
30
you are not announcing,
years.
you are not saying this shit. Yeah, you are not. I'm not going to be saying this shit. I'm not standing on your side. At that point, I'm going to assume you're fucking guilty. I'm cutting you off as a friend. I ain't fucking talking to your ass. Fuck that
Imagine
shit.
if like 6 years ago, Bill Clinton tweeted one day, praying for my buddy Jeffrey. Like, no, you wouldn't fucking do that. That doesn't make fucking sense, dude. With what they're
Bill
doing,
don't
Adam,
judge
you don't wanna
anybody.
align with that.
Hey, Bill Gates was smarter than that though, so I don't think he would have. You know what I'm saying? He
Oh my god.
Bill Gates is a
I thought we were
billionaire.
talking about Clinton.
He said Bill Gates, didn't he?
I said Bill
I thought
He
you
Clinton.
said Bill- Oh, my bad. I didn't hear the Clinton part. My bad. I thought you said Bill Gates. I was about to say, nah, damn.
I mean that, and I mean, Stephen Hawking, with his.
I love when that rumor went around on Twitter. That shit was fucking. I'm gonna close this window. That's okay.
As far as
I was
I'm
gonna say-
concerned, it's real.
I was gonna say I love that rumor when it went on fucking Twitter because like that apparently the person who spread that I saw the person who spread that, right, and he was just like oh, I just made that up. I didn't expect people to believe it, but if you guys aren't curious what the rumor was, it was that Stephen Hawking was on Epstein Island and he had midgets doing like butt-ass naked doing like equations on a high up chalkboard that they couldn't reach because they're small, and was just laughing and watching that going on.
Yeah, I heard about that shit. Yeah, that's I don't know if that shit was true or not, but that shit.
That sounds good enough to be true to me.
That sounds true to me, man.
I think we should probably just be arresting anybody by default who has that Venn diagram overlap of the Epstein flight logs and the freak offs, right? Like, like I said, like that's probably the strongest connection between Diddy and Epstein that I can think of right off the top of my head is Chris Tucker. Once again, I don't know why the fucking dude's not in jail. There's a picture from Epstein's jet, and it's Jeffrey Epstein, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, and Chris Tucker, and it's like, whoa!
Oh, I didn't know Chris Tucker was involved in that, though. I had no idea.
You've obviously never seen Fifth Element.
Yes, I have. Yes.
I think that picture was in between Rush Hour 2 and 3.
He's in a corset.
Dallas Clark, my man. He's innocent, bro.
Right.
You can't do performances like that. All right. He doesn't judge anybody.
So we all agreed that Diddy is the fall man, though, right? So Diddy is the fall man.
Fall man for who though? Like it really
I'm
does
saying.
seem like he's at the top
Yeah.
of this. Like
I mean, there always could be someone
he's just
like further up than that, but like, I mean, he does seem like the biggest. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that though. He's also probably the one who's like obviously big spender or funder of all this fucking degenerate shit, right? But there's obviously someone else at the top too at the same time. I can believe that someone else is just like, you need to cover.
Well, it makes me question. Like I was thinking
that.
about just the other day. It makes me question like literally everybody I've ever seen involved with him. Ben Stiller used to be in his music videos. Like,
yeah.
You know what's funny too, by the way?
Zoolander.
What? You know what's funny too, Kelsey, is that like me and you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he had that episode with Diddy in it. And I'm just like, I wonder if there's gonna be like a throwaway. I wonder if there's gonna be a throwaway line of him being like this, or like they're like, oh yeah, he just died or something. Like if they're gonna treat him like Charlie Sheen and just be like, yeah, he just died off camera or was a piece of shit or some shit.
I mean, he wasn't that super much of a reoccurring character, but it is.
No, absolutely not. But
Dr.
like, it's
Jinx.
one of those things on the internet. Yeah, it's one of those things on the internet though, where I know people might bring it back up, being like, "Yeah, he was involved in this, maybe." And then like, if they want to cover their ass, they might just say a throwaway line or some shit.
Whatever.
So,
Trump was in Home Alone. Like people do.
I do got a question.
Oh no, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
And so was Adam Sandler.
What is your question?
What is the borderline between death penalty and life in prison?
What you mean, like at what point do we
cross
just
that threshold?
Yeah,
depends on the state.
What is considered death penalty in this time of age?
So I don't know this. I should probably look this up. I don't know if he's being charged in the state of New York or if he's being charged federally. If these are state of New York charges,
it's got to be both, ain't it? No.
And probably, I mean, if it's a high-profile enough case, the state of New York charges might have just elevated to federal charges, right? If it's state of New York, I highly doubt he's going to get the death penalty for any of this because I'm pretty sure New York went away with the death penalty a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Federal charges, the death penalty is rare but not impossible. The federal government will typically reserve the federal death penalty for like terrorists, like the Boston bombers got the federal.
So you're saying though? So you're saying the death penalty is state?
It's state by state. It is state by state.
Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure because it's crazy to me because you have people on death row for less heinous crimes than what Diddy's doing, and they still getting fucking death penalty for it.
Yeah, there's always been this interesting legal debate, right? Because most people on death row are there for violent crimes, and for some reason, sexual assault and sexual crimes aren't often defined as violent crimes, or they are, but they're considered less bad than murder. I'm of the opinion that I feel like raping 40 women and murdering 40 women are kind of pretty equally fucking bad. So I don't know. That's how I feel about it. I have a hard time saying one's worse than the other.
I've watched enough prison I've watched enough prison documentaries, man, because I got nothing better to do with my life. But of like real either convicts while they're in or the ex-convicts talking about when they were in, they have the vast majority of prisons, they have like check-ins is what I guess something like that they call it, where once you get on the yard and you're around all these people, it's not like, hey, what you in for? Okay, cool. I'll take your word for it. No, you have like your papers and your documents of what you were were convicted of, and if it's something like child molestation,
anything having to do with kids, typically anything having to do with
kids. That's a worse sentence than death.
Your days are fucking
I know
numbered.
that. I'm just saying. Yeah, but I don't know if y'all heard, but the dude in South Carolina that has death penalty is requiring a firing squad, and I mean, he murdered somebody, but Diddy's done fucking worse than that shit. You know what I'm saying? And he don't have no fucking death penalty.
In states that have the death penalty too, it's not just like murders get death penalty. They typically there's no real definition of a crime that if you do this crime and it meets this definition, you get the death penalty. The death penalty is considered state by state basis, right? A dude killing a guy for sleeping with his wife is going to be considered differently than a dude killing a guy because he's a different skin color, right? Like, even though
Yeah.
they're ultimately one guy murdering one guy, they have maybe different weights, and individual courts might take those different things into consideration.
Yeah, like the dude that killed Jonathan Joss, it was in Texas on top of that. He's probably getting the death penalty.
Yeah, that
man's
and
gonna die.
and that's probably because in court they're going to successfully argue that counts as a hate crime, and typically hate crimes
Okay.
have always gotten that double no in our society.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just, that just baffled me because that makes no sense sometimes. What the fuck? But that clarified it up. Yeah, that's just crazy. So, can the federal step in and deny the death penalty if they wanted
absolutely,
to?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you have to remember sorry, go ahead, Kelsey.
Oh man, we'll just you're probably gonna have a more articulate version of that, but literally that's what presidential pardons and things of that nature come into play.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and separate from pardons, they can also commute, right? Like, and I'm pretty sure any president or any governor, as long as the case is within their state's jurisdiction, has this power to look at any inmate's case and either pardon them wholly for their crimes or not pardon them but commute their sentence. Like, the governor might hear about a murderer getting the death penalty, and he may go,
Yeah.
"I'm not going to pardon this dude for murder, but I'm commuting the death penalty sentence with something else." I'm pretty sure
Okay.
governors and presidents have always had that power in this country.
Okay. That sums it up. Yeah. That makes makes sense. Yeah. I got you.
We should be able to do the opposite.
Unpardoned people.
Put that motherfucker on the death
Fucker in
penalty.
jail,
Put him
dude.
on
He bothers me.
death row. West Coast.
Hell no.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's also.
that's... Go ahead.
Oh man, we keep doing this, man. We're gonna keep going in
Yeah,
circles
yeah,
until
yeah.
one of us
Mhm.
explodes. It's gonna be bad.
Okay. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of the episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Hey guys, have you ever heard of Chris Chan? More than likely, if you're not me and Shelby and haven't been living under a rock, you probably have. Our good friend Nick, who also has his own streaming thing where he does shows, and he will definitely plug himself now, and he'll get a chance to plug himself later at the end of the show. Also
Better
does
plug up,
things,
buddy.
and he's bringing Chris Chan and these videos to us, and we're going to have a reaction today. I hope you enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Nick is
you know,
the
and
number
for
one
those of
Chris
you,
You
Chan
did that
fan.
verbatim.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
I am not a Chris Chan fan. You know?
Says
Jesus
the man with the Chris
Christ.
Chan tattoo.
We don't talk about
Sonichu,
that.
it's
but
real.
no, if I had that tattoo, if I had a Sonichu tattoo, dude, I wouldn't even have like a house. Like my whole life would be cursed at that fucking point. Like, I told you about that, right? Last time we did this, it was like you get the
You did.
medallion, your whole life is fucking just gone to shit. Like, which by the way,
Rightfully so.
Kelsey, just so you know, check your mail in like the next few days. I sent you something.
7 days.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
It better not
yeah.
be Sonichu fucking medallion. I can tell you that. I will
That's-
throw that out.
Who knows? Who knows? You know, you never
It
know.
sounds like, or is it the beer? Is it the beer, Nick?
Oh yeah, the beer. Yeah, we should do that on stream. Actually, we should do the beer on stream.
That's
I don't know.
the
If they
deal.
still, I don't know if they still
Okay,
make
You know what
it.
You know what we're talking about, right, Shelbs?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know what you're talking about.
The
We're
human,
talking about the
human
hold on,
yeast
hold on.
beer.
Can we-
Yes.
Hours,
The
we save
lady
that for
beer.
later.
All right, well,
Oh,
that's
God.
just a tease for some other time. Carlos, I'm not gonna leave you hanging before we
Thank
get into
you.
Chris Chan. I won't do you like that. But basically, it all started one day when we're at work and Nick challenged me to drink beer from this it's made with yeast of a lady's private parts. And I found that utterly disgusting.
It's
And
a
he was
streamer amaranth.
Apparently
Did you
she's
drink
pretty
it?
hot. I'm not into redheads. Well, this is exclusive beer. You can't just get this.
Jeez.
You can't just get this at King
Oh,
Soopers
it's
or-
not
She's
just
one of
any
those-
lady. It's
Yeah.
one lady.
You can't stop by Bilo or
I was
any
gonna
of the
say she's
various
one of
grocery
those.
stores.
I was gonna say, Carlos, have you seen those like hot tub streamers on Twitch?
Yeah, who's selling their bathwater?
She's the one who pioneered that shit.
Who?
And
Her
anyway,
name's
LZP?
Amaranth. Amaranth. No,
Oh,
no,
Amaranth is
uh,
actual Amaranth?
It's her beer.
It's
That's her beer.
Amaranth's
Yeah, this was a few
yeast.
years ago.
bring a picture of her up. Bring a picture of her up real quick.
Oh,
Nick.
hold on. I got the video showed up. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me go back to that
Okay.
real quick.
Just so the people
Kind
at
of
home
hate that
can
I know
see.
who you're talking about, but like,
I had never heard of her.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna bring up a picture that's not like here. There you go.
right.
Oh, my ass was kidding.
NSFW.
I just want that picture. I don't want the fucking.
Hide
There
your
you go.
bosses.
Apparently, they got a woman bathwater soap coming out too. Dr.
Oh yeah, that's
Starbucks
Sydney
got it or
Sweeney's.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
there you go. I got the.
I'm not getting
screen.
that.
Yeah,
This woman.
yep. That's like the only picture I could find. I'm not sure we'll get us in trouble with YouTube. So like,
All
there you
right, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's probably the only
It's-
safe picture of
It's,
this
it's
woman
blurry
that exists.
anyways.
yeah.
Well,
So-
She
anyways,
has
that
one
woman right
drink now.
there.
Are you gonna drink the
She
beer?
is.
no,
Now,
how
hey,
about
let me
this?
say this is the story, and it utterly revolted me, But as time went on and he kept joking with me, I decided to call his bluff, and I was like, "All right, fuck it, I'll do it if you do it," just to see and gauge his response. And I saw the look of revolt and disgust on his face, and then I started smiling, and I was like, "You know what? If I can watch Nick suffer, I can drink this." And now I'm excited to drink it because it's going to fuel me just watching him struggle.
So,
Please
what
do
if
that on
y'all
the
drink it
podcast.
and y'all like it? What?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm
What are you gonna
good,
do
I'm
when
good,
it changes
I-
your life and ruins regular fucking beer for you?
Yeah. So y'all-
I'm gonna
y'all
go
gonna
check
keep buying
myself
the shit?
into like at a fucking institution at that point. That's where I'm gonna go personally. But
Well,
I'd
all I
start
can
pouring
say
a
is
nice
if-
cold
if-
bath and slip my wrists.
If that's the case, and I
in
end up falling in
Minecraft.
love with this beer,
Fuck.
you probably, anytime I'm over for like a family get together, Shelby, you probably need to stay away from my stash of alcohol. That's all I can say.
Please. I am not going near that.
Oh my god.
Nothing says Christmas like Amaranth beer.
All right, so I got.
Am I under the mistletoe? Constantly.
It's Christmas every day.
I taste like I cheated. All right. Well,
Oh my god.
So what was it?
Well-
what's the beer name?
It's called Essence.
Did it have a
Essence.
flavor?
yeah,
Yes.
imagine it's
no,
vagina
hold on. You know what? No, let me bring up the description of that
and
shit. Hold the fuck-
raspberries.
Hold
Yeah,
on. Let
yes.
me no. Let me bring up the description of that shit. I
Oh,
got
yeah.
this on my search history now.
This
Fucking hell, man.
This elegant craft beer is made with
Hold on,
human
no, that's
bodily
the wrong
fluid.
thing. Hold up.
Are you sure? Diddy likes this page.
Yeah, apparently.
Loves it.
Diddy loves this beer.
I didn't even see that.
Freakiest
Here it is.
beer.
Essence of Amaranth. I don't know if they sell it still. That's the thing. Okay. So, where's the fucking
A
non-alcoholic?
non-alcoholic
It's-
beverage craft
Why it gotta be
beer
red? Why does it have to be red, man? Come on, man.
with lactic acid derived from. I was reading that.
What is?
Oh, you're wait, which
champagne
one were you reading? The
ale?
top one?
Yeah,
Top
I'm
one. I was trying to look for the
genuinely
main
reading it.
The
description
one
they
under the
had.
bottle. The one under the bottle.
One under the bottle. Okay.
Yeah.
You saying
Wait,
it's
I gave-
non-alcoholic?
a
Oh,
non.
they got
it's
a pale
non-alcoholic.
champagne wheat ale too.
They're two different products. The top one has a 5.8 alcohol
okay, I
content,
see,
which
I
is still
see.
low.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's a main description I'm looking for. Give me one sec here.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, you can still buy some. Look how much it is. Hold on. It's like 22 USD
Dude,
for one
that means
fucking
that this
beer.
was not like a pop-up business. That
One
means that they
beer,
have,
one
like, a
drink
fucking
voucher
brew
with a
site.
home
That means-
delivery.
Oh
that means
my
that they have to
God.
have a brew site with employees, right? Like, this is a business.
Have to.
Yeah.
It's been going for years.
Yeah,
Hold-
they got
hold
like
on.
a
I don't know if I
suction
can
cup.
keep scroll. I don't know if I keep scrolling down or not because I don't want
Hey,
to.
I heard you finally got a job, man. How was it? Oh, dude. I
How
work
do
at the-
you?
Kelsey, unshare the
how
screen
do
real quick
you-
so I can scroll down real quick.
Unshare?
How do you
Unshare and I'll
take
let
the
you know when to
yeast
come back.
out of her? That's crazy. How do you
Well,
get the
because
yeast
it's
out of
because
the?
it's yeast, you literally just have to get a sample and then you cultivate it forever.
Let's
That's
see.
crazy.
They probably should
You-
probably
Yeah.
write one sample years ago, genuinely.
Oh no, that's a link
Well,
I
it's
did
like
not want. That's a
sourdough,
link
huh?
I do not
Once you
want.
once you cultivate it and make one batch, you
I- I can see it through the
Another-
stage part, Nick. Yeah, that
You
we don't
see,
want
saw
that on there.
the.
Yeah,
No,
we
but
don't
like it
want
had
that.
like a whole description of like, have you ever wanted to be close to like a goddess or something like that? Like it was some fucking like there's a word I'm looking for that. But they were just making it seem like you're drinking like divine fucking angel tears drinking this shit. Like that's pretty much what they made it sound like.
I mean,
Sound
for
the
the
fucking youth,
dudes
huh?
who this is their thing, that is how you get them. That's how you.
No,
sell
that's
them.
definitely how you get them.
Word
That's how you get simps. Yeah, that's definitely how you
divine.
get fucking simps.
Hey,
But
you ever want to drink a beer and then have your whole mouth feel tingly for hours afterwards?
No, that's called herpes.
Or you can do cocaine. It'll be numb.
No, that's called herpes. You're getting herpes, bro. Fucking.
Try our new
A mouse
herpes herpes beer, and coming this fall, Herpes Light.
fucking hell, that's foul. Fucking.
Well, anyways, before we know it, we're gonna have an episode where me and Nick will be drinking one of those beers.
No.
Hell
We
yeah,
gotta get
hell yeah.
no. If we're doing it on here, we gotta get a fucking donation. You guys need to, like have someone donate like fucking money to this show for me.
Now,
to drink
who's the only fan streamer? How soon until you have your own beer?
we don't. You know what? It's in production right now. We'll get there at some point.
What?
Essence of
We're
Kelsey.
talking to the same team. No.
What are you gonna do? Use your semen as fucking yeast? What the fuck?
No,
No, we'll figure it
Essence
out.
Kelsolino.
God.
That's a no for Kelsey.
But
You want my
but no,
essence?
if you get like a donation on your stream, if you get like a, let's say, how much would you say, like a 50 or 100 for me, you like was like for us to drink that?
We gotta start having more people before we get on that level.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You have to
Okay,
build it up.
okay,
That's a
okay.
huge. Hold on, that's a huge ask you're asking, and on top of that, I know it's huge for you too. So I figured if we get more people on your stream, we build that up to a goal, and that's one of the things you promote.
you're trying to unsell yourself. Kelsey's already sold. He gets to watch your face while you do it too, and that's all he.
Right, I'm
needs.
trying to help him though, and prolong me
Kelsey
not
does-
drinking
yeah,
it.
and
I'm trying to
to win
prolong
it.
me not drinking it by having someone donate to the show.
We
I
gotta
don't
put,
know
yeah,
how
we
well
gotta
you
put-
knew Kelsey, but I know Kelsey for a fact, and he will drink the fuck out of that shit just to know that you're not liking the shit. Okay?
Kelvin knows
I think
me
you'd have
well.
better-
We are
I
brothers.
think you have better.
You
I think you'd have better luck asking for $100 from a brick wall.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean,
did you wanna
I
just
would
do-
like us to get that kind of people down the road, but I want that beer to happen sooner than later. Okay,
No,
that's what I'm
fair.
saying.
I'd say we do
And
like
I
a
feel
hot
like
chip
that's
challenge
Great
first. Like,
content.
no, I was gonna say that we should do like a hot chip challenge thing though too. Like before that, like do stuff like other stuff like that too.
I'm out of shape. I don't want to have a heart attack. I'm good.
No, you'll be fine. Drink the beer to wash it down.
What's a hot chip challenge? A challenge you to eat a hot chip?
Yeah, have you never seen that?
I know what a hot chip is.
Yeah, you've seen the hot chip, right? Like
Yeah.
the pack out chip. It's like one chip and it's so spicy. Like that shit could cause you to like convulse practically and start vomiting.
Okay, you're
I
right.
tried
didn't
the
know what that was.
sucker.
I thought you were
The sucker
talking about
wasn't
like
shit.
Takis, and I was like, what a challenge.
No. It's like a really. I have one right here. Like it's 2 years old though, but I have one right here from my stream.
Oh
Actually,
yeah,
no,
you
that-
got
it's in
that.
my other drawer. Never mind. But like, yeah, I
That
have
bitch
one.
is fucking soaking in some hot shit right there,
You
pal.
got that chemical warfare hardtack in your pocket.
Yeah.
I don't want to have heart palpitations and die on screen. I'll pass. I'm good. I don't want anything that could physically kill me. So
No,
we're
that's
good.
Yeah, I think Kelsey would do that
So
fucking.
I will drink the beer made from vaginal yeast instead.
Yeah,
No,
I
you
would
drink it, wash
definitely.
it down. That's what I'm
do
saying.
that.
Like that's what saves you. You drink the beer with the chip. You just fucking, you know.
I don't think that's gonna save me. I'll be honest.
That's a double-edged sword right there, bro.
You might as well just start doing shots of Da Bomb, man. That's just straight battery acid.
Yeah. All right, I got the video pulled up though, Kelsey. If you want to.
All right, we're beginning. 40
All right.
minutes.
Well,
in.
and real quick before we start, too, I just want to say this video is from. And I'm pretty sure you probably said this, Kelsey. I'm not sure if you did or not, but obviously, I don't think we're gonna watch the whole thing. We'll watch it probably in
no,
bits, like, over some
abbreviated.
streams.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour fucking video. But this is also by Turkey Tom. Go check him out if you guys have never heard of him. He does a lot of videos, like video essays covering like locales and like degenerates on the internet, pretty much. And this is one of the ones he's covered.
All right. Look at this motherfucker. I can't hear anything. It's supposed to be
Yeah, I'm
music
getting
now,
no
or-
audio from your stream.
Oh, you got no audio? Okay, hold on.
No
How do I fucking get the audio?
Probably under the present
Yeah.
options. Like you probably have to close the present, and then if you represent with audio or some option similar. Let me see
Okay,
what-
here, I'll stop screen real quick. Give me 1 sec here. Oh, wait. Some screens let you share audio. Look for the share audio checkbox next to the window. Follow these steps to share a video with audio. Let me see.
Hello.
Hello, mate. What are
That's
you
like
doing
my-
down there?
Hold on, let me see real quick. Let me try that again.
I'm from down under. Where the kangaroos fucking hop all day.
It's a fucking room, mate.
You're drooling, dude. That was a really good performance. I believed that you were actually from
Thank
down
you,
there.
thank you.
It's a sloppy, dirty Australian.
Oh, I
you,
see.
you must be
Okay.
from the round half of the planet.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I'm from the bottom half.
Go ahead and try it again, Kelsey.
You got it?
Yeah, go ahead and try again.
All right.
All right.
Chris Chan is often called the most
There we go.
documented
Got it.
person on the
Got it.
internet. From an extensive wiki to thousands of YouTube videos, millions of onlookers who have jumped on to observe the story, it's hard to name someone more synonymous with modern internet culture. And even with Chris being a subject of forum talk for more than a decade at this point, it seems like people are hardly losing interest. So today, we'll try to cover the entire story of everyone's favorite or least favorite internet celebrity.
That face, dude.
No. Yeah,
Chris
he looks
Chan's
kinda
story
like a dumbass.
starts and ends with women, and with one in particular, his mother. Her allegedly abusive parenting being why he became the most documented individual in the world. And it was on account of his unspeakable acts toward her that he was suddenly pulled out of the public eye and into a jail cell. Seeing as he was just released from that jail cell, everyone's worried about what's next for Chris. It's natural to think history will repeat itself, but many still don't know the full extent of that history. A history which spans over 40 years, with its groundwork
She
being
looks
laid even
upset.
prior to that. It all started in the year of our Lord, 1980, when a 53-year-old Bob Chandler and a 39-year-old Barbara Weston got married. Barb was involved with a few other men before Rob, such as a man named Ron Coleman Yeats Sr., who she had a child with by the name of Cole. Barb, however, disputes this and claims to have never been involved with Rand, but with a man named Jack
Hey, real
Smith,
quick, stop it for a
who
second.
supposedly had a fancy
Yeah.
wedding.
Do we have to know this background story to know him?
Yeah. This
Okay, I was just asking.
trust me, this is gonna like I said, if we were to do 3 hours and it reaches its conclusion, like we keep watching this throughout like different streams, you'll understand why this is all getting brought up. I will tell you that right now.
And
It
Okay,
just
comes
imagine,
full
guys.
circle into year
I wanna-
2021.
I just want to say, just imagine, guys, if we were to blow up and get big, that someone will probably do videos on us like this one day. I just
Yeah,
want
if
to
we
say
if
think
we
about
if
that.
we commit heinous fucking acts, maybe hopefully not anybody will. ever
According
make a
to
video.
Nick, they do. He does it on all YouTubers. If you become of somewhat notoriety, there may be a video of you.
Yeah, but
It depends
notoriety
on-
comes from like doing crazy shit. Like I'm not like running over old women.
No,
like,
no. So
Look,
like here's the thing,
Leave the
right?
kids
See what-
alone, Carlos.
Hold on. No, oh God. No. Here's the thing with like, especially Turkey Tom and whatnot, and like a lot of like commentary YouTubers. That's the genre that we're watching right now. It doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be anything horrible, right? It can be good stuff sometimes, but the horrible stuff gets good clicks. But you don't have to do like commit heinous crimes like you're about to fucking see here throughout this documentary, which I think it'll be more towards the end. It's more like, for example, say we get big, right? Like you guys do great on your channels, you start making this a career. Well, then what happens when all of a sudden we hit rock bottom, we start losing views, we disappear from our channel, it becomes a mystery, right? It has to be something that like people speculate and talk about, controversial pretty much, right? But it doesn't have to be low level degenerate shit all the time. That gets the most clicks, don't get me wrong. But if it's
Yeah.
interesting enough on its own, like let's say like I said, you get Big Kelsey, for example, right? And then out of nowhere, you just don't upload anymore. He'll start.
Yeah.
Someone like him will probably make a video being like,
Yeah.
"There may have been signs where you see Kelsey throughout a stream. He's not really attentive anymore. He seems down." Prior to
Yeah,
what he used to be when he started.
I was gonna
so-
say
That's
it's
'cause
always
I'm
at least
fucking
something
lazy,
negative.
alright?
Like best case scenario, the video is the downfall of X creator.
Mhm.
Well, I'm glad that you paused it because I wanted to make two comments on the video thus far.
Yeah.
One, the day that Chris Chan was arrested and we all found out why, that day was fucking nuts, dude. That day was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And that was almost as crazy as the day that they caught EDP. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
I remember EDP.
that
Oh
was-
my god,
That was nuts. The second thought is if you're gonna say the year of our Lord, then you're supposed to say the year of our Lord 1980. If you say the year of our Lord 1980, you sound like an
That
idiot.
didn't sound right. I was thinking the same
Yeah.
thing. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's because
I
people
don't-
haven't
I don't
talked like
hate
that,
that.
since the. You're supposed to say the year of our Lord 1980.
It's got to sound more, more colossal, more ancient, more
Yeah.
grandiose than that. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, but
like your-
let's go
Yeah.
ahead.
wedding. Cole grew dubious of his mother's claims about who his father was and decided to hire private investigators to settle the matter. In emails he eventually exchanged about the pursuit of the identity of his father, Cole said, "It seems likely, since Rand's middle name is Coleman, that this man is my biological father." However, Barbara never spoke of this marriage. I would never have known about it had I not made a special trip to Richmond to get copies of all of her marriage certificates. Can you imagine having an essential part of your personal family history shrouded in mystery for 44 years because the one person who could clear the air insists on lying to you? Barbara hung up the phone in my face when I asked her about these revelations. Needless to say, I really don't give a fuck about Barbara or about her fucking lies. In 1966, when Cole was 3 years old, Barbara began a relationship with a man named Jerry Harmon Jr., who would become Cole's stepfather. Another finding of Cole's investigations was that Barb never actually married Jerry, despite her claims of having done so. A trend of dishonesty was forming. In an email about the domestic situation during this time, Cole said, "Barbara is mistaken about the bunch of good years we supposedly had together. I grew up in an abusive household with Barbara and my former stepfather, Jerry, where physical and mental punishments ran the gamut. From bare beatings to cold showers to bizarre scenarios acted out with glee by two deeply neurotic adults. The treatment I received in Richmond, Virginia was another matter altogether. To raise a child in such conditions is inexcusable. Even at a very young age, I knew they would abandon me. They were both irresponsible and incompetent parents who exposed me to traumas that I would rather not remember. As for Barbara professing her love for me, I have not seen any evidence of it in close to 20 years, and that's a very long time. Barbara's definition of love is a hackneyed sentimental term she uses to extract a response. At some points in the early 1970s, Barbara nearly killed Cole when attempting to scare off a would-be robber. A burglar tried to break in when my dad was out cheating on my mom. We had a steel front door. Some dirtbag was making no bones about trying to break down our front door. Richmond was the capital of America at the time. My mother, Barbara, left the living room for the adjacent bedroom, where said pistol sat waiting. She returned with a fully loaded gun. I stood beside her about 10 feet from the door, where the would-be thief was still loudly at work trying to break down the front door. My mother pulled back the hammer, attempting to cock it, but she didn't pull it back far enough for it to lock. Blam! The gun fired. The bullet hit the floor, ricocheted onto the steel door, then onto the ceiling, before lodging in the plaster wall less than a foot to the left of my head. The would-be thief was scared off, so mission accomplished there. But I could have easily died. In 1978, Barbara and Jerry separated, and not long after, Cole moved to California, presumably to get as far away as possible from his dysfunctional mother. Despite being directly connected to the endless odyssey of Christery, as it's often called, Cole is a relatively normal person. After they both separated from their respective spouses and married one another, Bob and Barb didn't see their advanced ages as a reason to avoid conceiving a child. Whether this was due to their lack of knowledge of the risks, carelessness, or a mixture of both is anyone's guess. By 1981, Barb was pregnant, and on February 24th, 1982, a child was born that would change the world forever. Christopher Weston Chandler. Unfortunately, whatever.
What's up?
I just wanted to note as a disclaimer, as we are, this has always been something I would try to keep in mind as the years that we're talking about this person, is that although this person is ridiculous, incredibly inflammatory, does crazy shit, and later down the timeline does some pretty heinous shit, we are talking about a person who is deeply autistic and has a bunch of other mental health issues, probably low-level schizophrenia with that. And symptoms like that are really, really common with a geriatric pregnancy. It is interesting that he brings that up because I think that is a huge detail of like what older parents having a kid oftentimes will lead to. It leads to mental instability. It leads to mental disorders. It leads to autism most often. So I think it's a very interesting detail. I'm glad he brought it up.
But at the same time, that doesn't mean that that if you are an older mother that's going to happen. It's just the increased likelihood. Just to state that.
Yep, of course.
There's a trend. There's a trend. My grandma was in her 40s when she had my dad.
Of course. I'm just saying there's a generalized trend.
No. It's increased risk. Absolutely. I'm just making sure that we're being as crystal clear.
It doesn't excuse anything that this individual may or may not have done, but it's important to understand the context of why these things happen.
Yeah. What's the age for that exactly? For like geriatric, like what is that?
I mean,
exactly?
If you want to be technical, I think any pregnancy over the age of 35 is categorized as a geriatric pregnancy, but some cases women can still have viable children throughout their 50s into their early 60s. I think the oldest baby ever born
on record is like a 70.
Yeah,
70.
yeah. So like you're talking about a massive range of decades that's all categorized as a geriatric pregnancy. I think oftentimes women in their late 30s, early 40s can have children with no issues. But when you start pushing into late 40s and pregnancies that are from women in their 50s, things like this start to become more and more common. I'm not sure how old she was when he was born, but I'm sure that is a huge factor.
And also, more specifically for you, any ladies listening at home, because we have such a strong female following, having a geriatric pregnancy does not make you a geriatric. That is a context within itself.
It's important to understand that is a medical biological term that is referring to the technical idea that everyone is supposed to be having kids as young as possible, biologically speaking. But society obviously doesn't work like that. It's just
1800s. 13-year-olds were getting pregnant.
Yep. I mean,
in Alabama, they still are.
In the early 1800s, the legal definition for an adult man was, "Can you come?"
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't know that. What the fuck? I had no idea about that.
Oh, you didn't know? You didn't know that most of the dudes fighting in the Revolutionary War were like 15? Yeah.
No. I didn't know. It was just that was like the criteria. It's just like, can you produce like fucking baby?
But before we had legal definitions in this country for what a minor was and wasn't, the generally agreed upon definition was, "Can you have children?"
No shit, dude. No wonder why fucking like
if you want to join this military, you better rub one out and show me you can do it, son.
That's real. That's American history right there.
Get in front of this general and start jerking your thing.
Dear God.
Get down and jerk me 20.
Fucking hell.
It's a little light on the load, but I'll allow it.
Oh my God. That's awful.
Sir, you're 2 milliliters short this week. Why is that?
You're not.
It's so funny too, because I'm sure that's like the stuff like obviously they cover up in like any movie that involves the U.S. military. Did you guys know they like get involved in that shit where they're just like, don't show them this stuff, show them all the good stuff, like make it look good.
Yeah. There's definitely a deleted scene of Top Gun that's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, totally. Look it up.
Top Gun was funded by the federal government. That's why.
I will never. I cannot watch Top Gun. I'm sorry. I just can't. And Kelsey knows why. Kelsey knows damn well why. There's
this moment where Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, he has that moment and he's like, you can't handle it, and he does that bite thing. Right before that, that's the jerk off scene. Are you man enough? Jerk off in front of me.
Oh God.
He bites. Can you hear it?
Yeah, dude, I hear it.
A little chop. Yeah.
Your teeth aren't quite as loud as.
No, I don't have a set of choppers like Val.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Val was willing to crack a tooth on that bitch, so I can't go that hard. But he's about to watch Jerry. He's about to watch. I was about to call him Jerry. Jerry Maguire. He's about to watch Jerry Maguire bust a fat load. He got into it. It only took one take. But let's carry on.
For bad parenting techniques were present when Barbara was raising Cole were at least as bad, if not worse, when it came to raising Chris. By 1983, probably due to her lack of interest in raising Chris herself, Barbara hired a babysitter that would end up abusing 1.5-year-old Chris by locking him in a closet. Later on, he would claim that this led to him having autism, although that claim is doubted. This situation caused him to become nonverbal, only occasionally screeching and crying, which made him very
Nothing.
difficult to deal with for his parents. By 1985, Chris met the first person besides his parents whom he recalls as a friend, Sarah Nicole
Santa
Hammer.
Claus.
According to what he himself says in his Wikipedia autobiography, which, yes, exists, Sarah brought him out of his autistic shell and helped him become more social, though she did, every once in a while, take advantage of Chris's less than advantaged intellect by doing things like locking him in a house's crawl space or trying to get him to put a honeysuckle in his mouth. But apart from that, Sarah was actually nice to him. They played hide and seek, rode swing sets, and even roller skated. This was one of the very few times Chris got to be a regular child. A couple of years later, Chris began kindergarten and Bob retired from his job. In fear that he was going to die from his heart problems, Bob decided to write Chris a letter for him to read in the future, in the case that he passed away. In one excerpt, it read, "I hope I've been able to provide for you and your mother until you at least get to college, and for your mother until she joins me at the great sing-along in the sky, or wherever. Anyway, I expect you to take care of her, love her, and never disappoint her for as long as she lives. I also expect you to never disappoint me, because I will always be with you to help you when the going gets tough, and you need me. Since everything always seems to happen for the best for me and when I need it, I've always felt like my mother was my guardian angel. You look exactly like my mother and I. I didn't plan my life. I just took it as it came along. I seem to have had no control over it. It always came along with what was right for me. Look at me 8 years ago in 1979. When I was really down and out and ready to cash in my chips with heart problems I didn't even know about, your mother, Barbara Ann, helped me through the rough spots, and together we had you. Now I really had something to live for. No better things or events could have happened to me. Your mother and I have done our best for you, and in return, we expect at least that from you, for yourself, and your children. Despite Chris still being mute at the time, it's evident that Bob had high hopes for him, which included college and children. On top of all of that, he emphasized as much as he could, Chris ought to love and take care of Barb, advice which we'll eventually know Chris took to heart in quite a peculiar way. Regardless of Bob's shortcomings as a father, it seems that he did genuinely care for Chris and wanted the best for him,
Looks like the
at
dude
least
from
based on
Saw.
this letter. As his childhood
Yeah,
progressed,
he does.
speech therapy classes, Chris eventually started speaking again at age 7. This was a relief for his parents, who could now actually communicate with him instead of having to guess what was on his mind. According to Chris himself, he quickly made up for his time in silence by talking a lot with his classmates. Through the entirety of his childhood, Chris's parents showered him with gifts, the brunt of which were video games. For Christmas that year, he was given a Nintendo Game Boy, which eventually allowed him to play Pokemon. As we'll learn later, this culminated in a major timeline shift in Christory. For the rest of primary school, Chris's life wasn't any more eventful than your average kid. He had a crush on a girl for a little while and played lots of video games. However, when he entered
And they
4th
showed a
grade,
picture of
something very
Sonic.
odd happened. 5 faculty members, ranging from teachers to the principal, as he retells it, abused him by pinning him to the ground, holding his wrists and ankles, and audio taping his cries and shouts. Regardless of how far-fetched or possibly false the story may sound, it must have had some degree of truth to it, since Bob and Barb went as far as suing the school, proceeding to homeschool Chris for the time being. We don't have detailed knowledge about the legal proceedings of this lawsuit, but we do know that it eventually got dismissed. Whatever your opinions about homeschooling may be when it concerns children, in Chris's case, being around other kids was beneficial for him, and he needed the social interaction to improve. While taking him out of school might have been necessary due to the treatment he was getting from the staff, being isolated entirely was certain to do him harm. In December of '92, Bob and Barb took Chris to a mall, where they would stumble across the Leonard Bernstein Symphony Orchestra, a band of
Oh
animatronic
shit!
during their interaction with the leader of the band, Leonard Bernstein himself, the performer that operated the animatronics behind the scenes, accidentally
Not
called
on my
Chris
watch.
Christian instead of Christopher, his birth name. For whatever reason, this deeply struck a chord with Chris, who insisted that his name be legally changed to Christian, a wish that would eventually be granted by his parents and even got coverage in a local newspaper. Later on, it seems Chris believed God himself was acting through that bear.
I am Christian Weston Chandler. So get it through your damn fucking skull and call me the real name that God has been given to me and the fair at Regency Square Shopping Center from 1989.
In 1993, the passion for Sonic the Hedgehog
Oh
that
my
Chris
God.
Fucking look like Blue Clues, don't it?
grew to new degrees, with him entering the Sonic the
Steve.
Hedgehog Watch and Win sweepstakes contest, where he won the grand prize, a $1,000 shopping spree at a local toy
Here's
store.
the
This win
fucking
was reported on
mail.
television, making yet another instance of Chris attracting the attention of the media, even as a young boy. By 1996, Barb would retire as well, meaning both her and Bob were spending the entirety of their time raising Chris, though whether their increased presence was good or bad for him, only time would tell. This was also the year Chris began high school, and in his opinion, these were his happiest years. It was during this period that he became the water boy for the basketball team, and just a year later, he's a manager for it. However, I assume that if Chris was able to exercise that position, it must not have been that
Stop,
position
man.
in the first place. During one of the Chris unknowingly received a vision of the things to come. As he tells it, one day during b-ball practice, I was randomly thinking, with a picture of Mighty the Armadillo of Knuckles'
Nick,
Chaos
pause it.
32X.
Well, you pause
Yeah,
it.
no, I got you.
It's so funny because like I keep glancing over at the side of the screen and
Yeah,
we're
no,
all
I
just
can
like, and Shelby's over there losing his shit.
I'm
I knew
I'm sorry.
before you reacted that that water boy thing was gonna make you laugh. I knew that
Yeah.
was gonna get
What the fuck? What the
oh
fuck, bro?
shit.
I'm sorry.
They
bro.
are. The water boys tend to be the weird ones. Like
I,
It's not even that. But like they congratulated him for being the water boy, bro.
dog.
he
No,
won
I'm not-
first team
I'm not
honors. He
joking.
lettered in water boying.
This video is probably
He-
also gonna have a lot of clips like we just saw of him screaming at the camera. Because
Oh yeah,
this is
no,
how
that's
most
him
people
screaming.
know his
Oh, that-
content.
That, oh yeah.
And I've just heard his voice. I've heard the voice so much. Also, apparently it is Christine now. I heard some rumor that it had gone
Oh
back
no,
to Christian.
they did transition to Christine.
It
They-
is
you go by
solidly
she now.
Christine Weston
Yeah.
Chandler, which apparently is a detail in the court case for some reason.
So he's a girl now, right? You said
Yeah.
Christina?
They transitioned to
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
All
What?
right.
How old is this video?
This video is 2 years old. So this is
All right.
because he made a follow-up. Because okay, so kind of a bit of a spoiler without getting into details. Chris Chan is still on the internet making money off YouTube, and he has someone helping him, and he's selling those Sonichu medallions. So he's actually seems to be doing well for the shit they for someone you consider once you find out what he's done throughout this video. He's doing pretty well on the internet right now.
I mean, listen. It's not like he has a long time history of doing legally questionable shit. It really just is the one thing. That one thing is it's
Oh
pretty
no,
rough.
the one thing for sure,
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And it's rough enough that I feel like if it happened to a non-internet persona, that person
No,
would
that person
either incarcerated or
person,
in a mental institution for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
The fact that
yeah.
she isn't is kind of weird.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
feel like it's
pretty
that crazy
much.
to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gathering so far before we start playing that
What's up?
he lives a pretty shitty childhood. That we established that.
Yeah.
Yeah, an abusive and fucking crazy ass. Yeah.
On top of being severely autistic, that's
Yeah,
just
and
that's
also
not good for any
having-
kid, much less this kid.
Yeah.
Like I just love
Nothing
how they were like that one, the one friend she had or he had, at the time
Locked him in a crawl space and fed him bugs or whatever.
but otherwise was pretty great.
Was really good to him. It's like
What was that? What was that flower? What was that flower that she made him eat? Like, what the fuck was
A
that?
honeysuckle.
honeysuckle.
What's a honeysuckle?
Honeysuckle, yeah.
Sorry, I
Which
tried
is,
reading that for something that passed by.
It's
But
not. It's kind of strange because honeysuckles are something like Shelby would tell you. Like I don't know about it in New Mexico, Carlos, but like they grow everywhere in the wild, and Virginia, Georgia, we probably have a lot of similar vegetation, but they taste good. You suck on honeysuckles, like we would just do that passing by. You walk by, grab one, suck on it, maybe get like a little hint of nectar, has a sweet taste to it.
You can harvest the whole juice of the honeysuckle, and you can sell that shit for like health properties and shit like that too.
Oh, what the fuck? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
So I mean, the honeysuckle thing was weird. Like here saying that they forced him because like most kids just do that on their own. It's just fun to do. Yeah.
Maybe it was something he didn't enjoy or something like that, and like maybe she didn't want to like feed him or something. It's just the equivalent of like, here, eat a piece of gum, just fucking go get a honeysuckle or some shit. That's what it sounds like.
Eat the fucking crumbs off the floor, you piece of shit. Something like that. Yeah.
Do we want to move a little bit forward towards like I said, this is a little bit of an abbreviated version. Do you have an idea, Nick, where we're moving towards?
Yeah, no, we're getting once it gets past the high school stuff, it goes right into the internet stuff, which is the main thing. Because that's like that part is really important for sure. But like the high school stuff, again, this all like contextualizes why you're about to see why he acts the way he does on the internet after high school. Like this is literally why it's all there. And his family, I will say, his mom and his dad also play a part in that internet part of it as well.
Okay.
I'll probably try to see for next stream. I'll try to find a shorter version of this. That way we don't have to, unless you guys want to keep going with this one, a shorter version that will pick up kind of wherever we leave off from here.
I mean, I'm already thinking about it, like for the future, like depending on where we leave it off from here, we might just do like little 10, 15-minute segments out of all of it until we complete it, kind of thing. Maybe like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. No, I apologize. Like I said, there's a lot on this guy. There's like so much on this fucking dude. Like it was hard to kind of find something. And even those short videos, I realized I mentioned the ones I did see are only like that beginning part of like his mom and dad probably. And then that's it. That's all you get from that.
Now, we appreciate you and we appreciate Turkey Tom. Hopefully I said that right because I feel like I'm always fucking that up. It's Tom Turkey Tom.
Yeah.
And learning about this guy and there's conspiracy and controversy within this guy that we're seeing already. So let's continue forward.
I want to say one last thing. If you guys have noticed too, on top of everything else, Rick, that you've noticed, have you noticed also he's already been thrown to the limelight as a kid? Like he's had a camera in his face multiple times throughout the media before all this.
I was noticing that, and that's something I will admit. Like this is a name I have known for over 10 years, but to see like news footage or like newspaper clippings of him as a kid, I was like, whoa, I've never seen those before.
Yeah, this shit goes
That's
like
crazy.
like he's been in the public eye in one way or another for like almost a lot of his life.
What I am noticing about this video that I didn't notice before is that there are definitely in my opinion, he's already showing signs of low level schizophrenic symptoms as a minor, which is probably means that he was born with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of a bunch of tall lockers in my head, when suddenly the door behind him opened up and out popped this orange hedgehog with a basketball. So I drew and colored him on paper immediately. Bionic the Hedgehog, Sonic's long-lost brother, was born. As you can imagine, it's just a dismal recoloring of Sonic, but orange. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't figure it out, his name is Bionic because B is for basketball, along with having crushes on a couple of cheerleaders and involving himself in an altercation that got him demoted to the short bus. His time in high school was marked by a prophetic dream about Sonic being on Game Boy. After getting an F in English, a 16-year-old Chris recorded his very first video dubbed Song of Christian, where he read a poem he wrote and proceeded to meander about other topics.
I hear America singing as I sing of myself, and you experience as I experience. The problems of yourself are my problems. The youth of the young singing cries of happiness. The children's song is song of laughter. And also, sometimes Mother and I buy some Lego sets and build them together. Like for example, this old bicycle pick shop here. You can tell this is an old-fashioned Lego set on the counter. There's the old-fashioned Lego land on the corner.
If you're already familiar with Chris Chan in any way, you might be able to notice that he sounds different in this clip, almost like he's a different person. His voice is deeper and his speech is clearer than what he later became known for. To some extent, it's almost as if he was just your regular 90s nerd as opposed to the Lovecraftian entity he eventually came to embody. The fact that during this time, Chris was regularly interacting with people that weren't his beyond geriatric parents, which resulted in him being a lot more socially capable and normal. But normalcy was on borrowed time in the Chandler household. For starters, Chris discovered how to, as he puts it, mass debate in the ripe old age of 16 years old. After figuring out how to break the parental lock on his TV, he figured it out for himself, whatever that means. In 1998, the Pokemon anime began being broadcasted, and Chris was immediately hooked, becoming a fan of the series. Shortly thereafter, the Pokemon Red and Blue game would hit the shelves in America, and in a way, Christian's fate was sealed at that very moment. During 1999, Chris's obsession with Pokemon would grow more evident, and in April, he created his first website called CWC's PokeSite, which was meant to be a Pokemon content and news aggregator, which, of course, Chris lacks the competence to maintain. It seems the site's code was based mostly on a pre-built template, and, most likely, was made under adult supervision, considering one of the entries on the site's guest book seemed to be from one of Chris's teachers. Throughout most of the year, Chris created playing cards for his Pokemon OCs. His ideas weren't always the most creative, such as Drummore and Symbolic, two Pokemon that were basically just sentient drums. One of these Pokemon, Espinolic, a comically stereotypical Hispanic Pokemon, served as the mascot of the second edition of PokeSite, the absolutely broken miscarriage of a website that came as a result of Chris trying to make his website from scratch in HTML instead of using a template. In late August, he made Yoshi into a Pokemon, which set a precedent for him taking copyrighted characters from other franchises and making them into Pokemon. In the year 2000, Chris
Luigi is a human.
A party he eventually wrote about, saying, "We hung balloons and streamers, and we laid refreshments out on the table. At the door was 4 of my high school amigas, and one of them brought a friend. We ate pepperoni pizza and drank Pepsi. It was great. As Mother lit the candles, I was filling up with ecstasy. After I blew the candles, I was presented with a big jawbreaker from Kelly, an R.L. Stein novel from Sarah, a planner with stickers from Miranda, and a rabbit doll with jelly beans from Tiffany. We watched Good Burger and had fun. After they left, it was done. What did I wish for? I'm not telling." Though they obviously went to his party in the spirit of charitability, the fact that he was likable enough to inspire these girls to humor him is a sign that, despite his problems, Chris was functional, even if in his own way. In the same year, Chris began taking Paxil, a medication to help with his autism, and overall, it seemed like things were headed in the direction of stability. But who could ever predict what was coming next? Chris's interest in Pokemon endured, and he continued to create new Pokemon playing cards while having people from his school sign his site's guest book, complimenting his art. With all of these social rewards he was getting from expressing his creativity through his interests, Chris's ambition and belief in the potential of his creations only grew. During a computer graphics class, Chris was assigned to create a CD album cover, but with the caveat that the image could not include any copyrighted character. Because of his dependence on derivative material, he struggled with this limitation. That is, until he came up with a brilliant idea. If he were to make a hybrid of two copyrighted characters, the resulting admixture wouldn't be copyrighted, and thus, it had to be acceptable. The CD, dubbed Christian's Favorite Hits, would feature a picture of Chris himself alongside a few OCs of his, but with one unforeseen addition: the one and only Sonichu, a mixture of Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu. He commented on this moment, saying, "It dawned on me at that moment after lunch, much like the random creation of Bionic the Hedgehog during basketball practice in my freshman year, Sonichu just bursted right into my imagination. A blur at first, but then it became more clear and came together very well. So as swiftly as the creation of Bionic, I drew Sonichu on paper from imagination. Then I drew him on my currently open Photoshop program. After checking with my teacher and my father, who is big on copyrights and whatnot, Sonichu was legal then, and still is, and only mine. So, soon after, the CD cover was made, printed, and passed with an A+ grade. And just like that, things would never, ever be the same. Soon after Sonichu's conceptualization, Chris would immediately start making home.
So I wanted to pause on that. But yeah, that's where that medallion comes from. That's the medallion.
The comic, man.
Can you even do that? Can you
He had a
combine two
comic
characters to make like?
Well, technically, it's not
derivative?
copyright. If you merge
I
two
think
things together and make it one, it's not
I think you
copyright.
might. I think technically, like, he probably interpreted what the adult said in his own way, but what they probably told him is that this is probably some technicality on parody law. And if you
Yeah.
fit into the legal definition of parody, you have production. So long as you're
Yeah.
not trying to claim to be the original thing and you are cementing and constantly reaffirming that you are your own thing, then it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask that.
Homemade Sonichu merchandise as if he was a real character. One of the
What's up?
There's also this part of me where it's like this very delicate thing because, he has issues.
That's why I'm like watching this all in hindsight, now that I'm no longer a bitter teenager, is different. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
I actually didn't learn about him until a few years ago. I'm by the way, I'm 29. I did not learn about Chris Chan until like 5 or 6 years ago. So
It's yeah.
I'm 31 and I still don't know what the fuck this is. So I don't know who.
It's delicate, man, because like I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but there had to be a point where the people were like, "Okay, that's great, son, but don't quit your day job."
Yeah. So
Yeah.
ultimately the problem is that as functional as he is in high school, and I'm sure the video will go into this, he never really is functional enough as an adult to ever have a day job. He never moves out of his parents' house, even as they age into far, far, far old age, as we will see the consequences of later. And the reason that there is such an obsession and delusion is that, like, the basic rundown as I remember it is that this turns into an IP in his mind. He starts making this graphic novel, posting these web comics, gets bullied relentlessly because of what it is. Like, fucking look at it. He makes a series of videos debating the trolls, which is just him screaming at the camera, and then years of him screaming at the camera transform into a genuine psychotic delusion where he believes that Sonichu is real and speaking to him and giving him advice. This is the whole golden calf of the whole belief structure is Sonichu. Like right now it's starting as this innocent autistic high school.
And at this point where not necessarily at this literal point, but once YouTube becomes available in 2004, 5 or 6 around that time.
Yeah.
There should be like ethics or responsibility. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying because if it wasn't for how platforms like YouTube and these guys or other ones allow us to do what we do right now, we couldn't be doing them and having the fun we're having. But
Sure.
It's like with people with obvious mental problems, I feel like there should be some kind of responsibility or some kind of something, man, because like
yeah, and there is now. There's all these cards and policies now.
We all just said that this motherfucker still make the content.
Well,
it's different because he has reputation. It's like Old Guard, right?
Yeah,
his fan base is cemented from so long, and that fan base is made up of a lot of.
He has a reputation. Yeah, he has a reputation for one, but here's a couple things. So YouTube in the early stages, all the way up to like the late 2010s, was pretty much a lawless fucking like land of like whatever the fuck goes. You can say edgy shit. That's why, like, if you guys heard me throughout the stream tonight, I'm just like saying like greatness and stuff like that. Like, you have to, even if you make a joke about like sewer slide, I have to say sewer slide. You have to do that. They have all these rules that have happened that weren't a thing back then, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
okay,
so
so I to expand on that, I agree with you, but I think there's another distinct era, right? Like there's like
yeah.
in my mind, like 2000 or 1990 to 2005, that's like the frontier settler days of the internet.
Oh,
That's where
yeah.
everyone was still figuring out how this worked.
Oh yeah,
By
absolutely.
2005, the internet was cemented and everyone knew how it worked. And
Yeah.
then that's when people were getting on, and teenagers and the youth were on the internet in mass. 2005 to like 2013, 2014, that's still
Mhm.
solid Wild West days of the internet. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it was around
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
2010, 2011 that Google acquired YouTube, and
Oh, yeah,
that
no,
is a
absolutely.
very important shift because, like, you're talking about like the 2010 to like 2017, you could get away with edgy shit. In fact, the edgier the content, the more views you got. It was direct
yeah.
correlation to ad
Yeah.
revenue.
Yeah.
That's how it was. But before Google bought YouTube, I remember what YouTube was in 2007. There was
Oh, yeah,
fucking
Oh, yeah.
porn
That
on
shit
there. You
was
could
crazy.
in,
Oh,
in
yeah.
2007, I could go on YouTube and watch a video of a dude getting shot in the fucking head because I
Oh, yeah,
did.
Oh, yeah.
I
absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
like you literally, if he's first generation YouTube uploader, and at
Mhm.
that point, YouTube was literally just a website to share video files, whatever the fuck that might mean. No, there were no safeguards, no protections,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
nobody
Yeah.
stopping this. And it's also worth acknowledging that before YouTube, but also overlapping with this era, is Newgrounds. Like that, like I'm surprised that this documentary hasn't brought up Newgrounds because I'm sure Chris Strand is also, given his age, like first generation Newgrounds user and uploader, right?
I think
So
maybe I don't, I'm not entirely sure on that one, but no, I get what you're saying. That's what I was trying to get at. But like, yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. What I'm saying is like after like because Google bought it too, by the way, they were slowly implementing rules until I think
yeah,
I'm gonna say the adpocalypse. Have you heard of that on
yeah,
YouTube?
I remember I was there.
Yep,
Fucking,
yep,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
I just don't know how much, yeah, because the whole Logan Paul fucking Forest thing. Yeah, YouTube, that's when they started cracking down on like what you can say and can't do, and made some fucking rules that I agree with, but then some who I think are fucking stupid. But Chris Chan, my thing is passwording to Chris Chan now. Like I said, I think he has a handler now. He has someone who helps him run his channel, so he knows what he shouldn't and should not do on his channel. I think that's the other reason why he might be getting away with it right now.
I really don't like the term handler. When we're
That's the
talking
best way I
about
can put
someone
that.
with autism. I know.
Manager.
Oh
But,
god,
like-
even that sounds fucked, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. This all feels so weird. I agree. I think he shouldn't be on the internet, and he should probably be getting looked after in a mental care facility.
no, he definitely
All
should be.
honestly,
He definitely should be,
like
yeah.
it is really weird.
I was gonna say, for anyone watching, by the way, I apologize. I didn't know how to put that, but I know he has someone who helps him with his channel overall. Like, I'm pretty sure I think that's been confirmed
I
recently.
bet that's how
but-
that person describes himself. Don't apologize. I bet that's how that person
No,
describes
yeah,
himself.
yeah. I think that's how I heard the term, but that's just like, yeah, someone's obviously he cannot. I don't think he's just running the channel by himself the way he's been running it. Because when he first came back, he had all these edits and all this creative stuff, and he's been doing well.
He had
He's selling
production
merch
value.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, production value. And I'm just like, where the fuck did all this come from someone in his situation? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. But that's just, yeah.
Completely agree.
Girls that went to his birthday party, Kelly, received a Sonichu sweater Chris had made. Though it's a virtual certainty, she had no idea what kind of psychotic horcrux she was dealing with at the time. Chris's creative streak would continue to manifest through another assignment he had to do, wherein he would have to document.
Should I pause it until he comes back, by the way? I just realized he...
I think he can still hear it.
Okay, okay, you probably still hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep going.
Document a week of his high school life, which he would dub A Week with Christian Chandler. The cover art is a picture of him wearing an Ash Ketchum hat with his dog, Patty. Above it is the title scribbled in Chris's incomprehensible handwriting, while underneath is the most menacing drawing of Sonic the Hedgehog ever made. This pattern of randomly drawing Sonic's head continued through the project. As in the first page of this assignment, we have this rendition of Sonic looking like he's been run over by a Japanese bullet train. As for the actual content of Chris's paper, it details a pretty uneventful week, with Chris helping his parents move, sleeping during class, playing Pokemon, and reading R.L. Stine books. While most aspects of his life kept their monotonous rhythm, Sonichu festered in the deepest crevices of Christian's mind, taking on a myriad of different forms such as Dark Sonichu, Surfing Sonichu, and Snowboarding Sonichu. A man for all seasons. By June, Chris graduated from high school, though it was not a good experience for him. In his Wikipedia autobiography, he said, "Graduation for me was a sad one then. I only got recognized for my grades with a star pin, yet they had more fancier awards for more important qualities. I should have been highly recognized for my artistic talents I showed in many art classes for the award ceremonies before graduation day. I felt crestfallen greatly from not getting recognized for any of my talents. I excelled in math too, for the love of God. I had gotten over the award ceremony on the graduation day, but to add lemon juice to an open wound, it was dark and rainy that day, and they handed out more talented awards right before handing out any diplomas. When I went up there to get mine, I was feeling depressed, upset, crestfallen, and ticked off. When the award was handed to me, I took it without looking anyone in the eye, and I did not shake anyone's hand. I just walked back to my seat in the graduating crowd. Then, soon after, I just walked the wrong way up the center aisle, found an isolated table, and cried myself out. My mother found me later and comforted me. My father was so ashamed of the way I acted, and he would later still be angry at recalling the moment. Tiffany also found me and gave me a caring amount of condolences back there. I gave her a plush Psyduck as a graduating gift beforehand. But I left out 2 other reasons why I felt crestfallen at graduation. I never got the chance to ask Kelly out on a date, and more importantly, that I was leaving all my close gal friends behind. Soon after finishing high school, Chris would enroll in a community college, though at this point his priority was clearly Sonichu. In CWC's Poke site, he announced that a dedicated Sonichu page was in the works and a logo for it was released. His indelible originality follows Sonichu and Rosechu with Chikachu and Meichu, the female versions of Pikachu and Raichu respectively, though what function these pieces of OC serve is completely unknown. In October, the Sonichu site goes live and it looks about how you'd expect. Zero improvement whatsoever in website creation since CWC's Poke site 2. As a matter of fact, the Sonichu website is mostly a carbon copy of the Poke site, mostly containing recycled material from it. At around the same time, Chris decides to further his commitment to the Sonichu IP and makes a Crayola medallion of Sonichu's head with his mouth covered with red sauce, like he just feasted on an order of glizzies. At the tail end of that year, he creates Sonichu's female counterpart, Rosechu, which is basically just Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog with little if any changes to her appearance. All of this marks the beginning of Chris's rapidly deteriorating mental health, as his obsession kept growing into unhealthy and straight up odd directions, and he started putting on significant amounts of weight. Though the first half of 2001 was mostly uneventful, Chris began working at a Wendy's in August, his job description being cleaning trays, tables, and carpet/tile flooring, keeping the place neat, and serving the customers with kind, understanding help. Just a couple of months after he was hired, however, he was let go. Chris claims this was due to emotional differences and that the manager had a spike on his shoulder against him. Over time, more concrete reasons for his dismissal began surfacing, such as drawing a coworker of his as an ugly Pokemon, or making a child cry by doing a terrifying impression of Donald Duck. Regardless, he made a total of $500 off the job before being fired. 2002 was a pretty uneventful year for Chris Chan standards, with nothing much happening besides him turning 20 and developing a nigh unexplainable seething hatred for Harry Potter. Apparently, because it became more popular
impression of
around that
Donald
time.
Duck.
In a
You
card he
made
made of
me
himself
cry.
called Dark Christian, where his Pokemon type is autistic, his ability is knocking out whoever says that they love Harry Potter more than they love Pokemon. The bottom of the card reads, Christian says, kill Harry Potter, revive Pokemon. Early on in the year, his 21st birthday is ruined by his teacher, as he details. My 21st should have been as nice as my 18th or Sweet 16, right? Wrong. I was attending an English class at PVCC with this old male teacher. I don't even remember the son of his name. Anyway, on February 24th, 2003, the day of my 21st birthday, he had the nerve to kick me out of his class just because of my doggone autism. If I could do it over, I'd give him a swift kick, but then I might have gotten kicked out of PVCC, and violence is rarely the answer anyway. Still though, he wrecked my turning 21. Angry face. The actual reason for him being kicked out of class is mostly unknown, with Chris sporadically saying the teacher randomly ejected him from the class because he was autistic. A more believable iteration of this story happens in one of Chris's retellings of it, where he mentions that the topic of homosexuality came up in a group discussion during class, and Chris, being the fancy gentleman we know him to be, said something offensive. Though we don't know what exactly it was, Chris expounded on it, saying, essentially, when it came to critiquing the papers of the other students, when they started talking about drug use and homosexual content, I wrote with exclamations you'd likely hear from a black person in church. He also emphasizes that the teacher, being a man, had something to do with it, and how whatever problems he was having in English class went away once he retook the class with a female teacher.
Hold on.
That is so fucking racist, bro.
I gotta say, man, she's always had a way with words. She's always had a way with words. It's just every now and then, and I've always felt this way. Like even as a teenager, there'll always be some usage of a word and rant, like crestfallen. It's so I don't even know how to describe that.
It's something only here in literature.
That's bad when fucking Carlos don't know how to fucking describe that shit. What the fuck, bro? That's bad. That is
just-
fucking bad, bro.
Like a
Oh,
black woman
God.
in church.
What he
Fuck,
assumes
that's
a black
even
woman in
mean,
church.
bro.
What he assumed. Oh, he painted the picture well.
He
Like
painted the picture very well. I know
Yeah.
exactly what he fucking means.
Fuck.
And especially in like 2003, autistic on the internet all the time. Yeah, he probably did say some really heinous shit in that room.
Yeah. Fucking hell, dude. Very descriptive, though. That's a good way of painting a picture of that.
Chris also says without explanation that after that day, he realized he needed a female sweetheart. This was the beginning of what would be known as Chris's love quest. Initially, not much changed in Chris's general
Except for the
behavior.
fact that
He
I'm
continued to give CDs and gifts to his gal pals, and of course, they all included Sonichu in some form because he genuinely thought it was charming. Being romantically inspired, he wrote the first Sonichu story called Sonichu and Rosachu, the genesis of the Love Hogs. Though this story was not illustrated, as the latter entries into the
Love Hogs.
cinematic universe would be, it provided revelatory insight into the inner workings of Sonichu's canon. According to this sacred text, Sonichu came to be when Chris accidentally collided with a Pikachu that stood nearby as he fought a monster. Due to being charged with energy from the Chaos Emeralds, the Pikachu was permanently transformed into Sonichu. Rosechu, on the other hand, was a Raichu that happened to get hit with the rainbow that emitted from the creation of Sonichu. Eventually, for no reason other than Chris's tendency to insert everything from real life into his work, Sonichu and Rosechu kissed and became lovers. About a month later, as Chris resumed his community college classes for the 4th year, he came up with a brilliant idea to solve his problem. He posted up the very first attraction sign, which was a resume to attract a girlfriend. The sign read, 21 and single white male. Shy, smart, young at heart, computer skilled, humorous, a great thinker and go-getter, natural salesperson, enjoys good parts of life, diplomatic, friendly, loves his family, peaceful, very creative. He's lonely, seeking a cute 18 to 21 single female companion. 18 to 21 years of age, does not already have a boyfriend. Single, average to slender weight/body type. White, lives in Charlottesville or Ruckersville area. Does not smoke or drink alcohol. Happy, positive personality. Average/high income. Drives a vehicle. If any men read this time, mind your own
He is
business.
very
All men with
detailed
girlfriends,
about this
except
fucking
married
girl, bro.
and blacks, go jump off a cliff. Have a nice day. You know,
Have a nice day. The fuck? Have a nice day.
Except Marys and blacks.
What would I do? Oh, you trying to do Tinder before Tinder was a thing? Can you imagine what his Tinder profile would look like?
Oh my god! Well, my other favorite part is he had the audacity. He's in a fucking community college and has the audacity to say average to high income. I'm like, who in community college?
Oh, I love specifying white too. That's
Like,
so
where the fuck did these hang?
white.
Where the fuck did these hang this shit up? Like in the fucking cafeteria? Of the
Yeah, like in the
fucking
hallway,
community
like in the fucking
Yeah.
common area.
This ain't no fucking high school, bro. You don't fucking do that shit, bro. What the
He's
fuck?
like,
Is that not how you try to get a girlfriend? Though? I do that in
Yeah.
the bar when I was single. I do that in the bar every single time.
Do you know that
Yeah,
20
no,
years ago,
probably-
the founder of eHarmony's wife left him for a man she met on eHarmony?
That's funny as fuck. No, I didn't know that.
well, I would make fun of the
This
fact that
will
the
be.
girl to be average to
Everlasting
slender, have
love,
income,
bro.
and drive a vehicle, despite Chris himself possessing none of those things. However, my standards have become so low due to the typical kind of person I cover in my videos that honestly, I'm just glad he's looking for someone older than 18. Even lolcows used to have standards back then. They should strive to be more like Chris. Oh yeah, don't let me forget to mention that he also emblazoned this sign with some like white version of Sonichu, perhaps to signal how much importance he attributes to the girl being white. This month is also special because that's when Chris makes his debut as a recording artist, dropping his album Christian and the Hedgehog Boys. It's interesting to note that the cover includes Chris alongside Sonic and Sonichu in the foreground, while two black versions of Sonic, at least one of which is supposed to be Shadow the Hedgehog, are in the back, looking upset. The album boasts 8 tracks, all of which consist of Chris reciting parody lyrics over actual songs, not even instrumentals, just full-on songs, ranging anywhere from Backstreet Boys to the Macarena. Seriously, just get a load of So Need a Cute Girl, Chris's rendition of the Backstreet Boys' I Want It That Way.
And I never wanna hear I want
Another track, Best Friends Forever, is subliminally dedicated to the aforementioned Sarah Hammer, who at this point had a boyfriend whom Chris was jealous of. The lyrics are quite interesting. You hang out with your new friends you made and your boyfriend who acts as a black Sonichu. It is your choice to go with them instead of me. Soon you'll realize you're not complete because I'm not there. If it wasn't clear yet, Sonichu, along with pretty much every other character he made up, were either self-inserts or blatant wish fulfillment fantasies for Chris. Because of his utter inability to deal with the problems he was facing in his life, he articulated them through his OC. After a few months of his sign being posted up without any takers, as you'd expect, it was taken down by the dean of the college, Mary Lee Walsh.
Random picture of this random lady.
That evil witch, Mary Lee Walsh, mocked me and even crumbled my efforts and threw them into my face. It was serious, heart-shattering insults like that, which literally shattered my heart to almost nothing and murdered my soul. Like, as if I didn't already understand that love can't be hurried, but they all left a huge impression among the general population that having a sweetheart was illegal in Virginia. Thus, Virginia is for virgins, not lovers. Despite Mary's best efforts, every time she took one of Chris's signs down, he just made more and more of them and posted them up around campus, even creating MySpace and Facebook pages to advertise his pursuit of a boyfriend-free girl. As 2004 began, Chris began mulling over the idea of merging his writings with his drawings and making comic strips for his Sonichu stories. He also tries to negotiate with Mary Lee over emails, saying, "Mary, I've slept on it and I've realized that note hanging is not the way to get attention. And I don't really want to meet with either you nor Susan. No offense. I'll tell you what, let's forget the meeting. And if you will allow my newsletter to stay in distribution, I will do all of the following. I will never hang notes on the wall again. I'll consider stopping my silent treatment on Susan. I'll consider knocking you and Susan up my scale of respect, each by 2 points. 0 equals no respect, 10 equals respect. By newsletter, Chris means Sonichu's News Dash, which he thought would more effectively attract girls by mesmerizing them with.
You ever try that with someone? You're just like, look, let's just drop it. My respect for you will go up by 2 fucking points.
By the way, just in case you were wondering, 0 means no respect, 10 is really good.
I'll knock you up fucking 2 points in the fucking community service center. What the fuck, bro?
My respect is a form of currency, and you need it.
Fuck, bro.
It's like, you know what, man? Fuck you. You just knocked down a point on my respect meter. What is your current score? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You need to worry about getting that number up. That's what you need.
That, and I love the fact that his part of his agreement, he didn't say that I will stop doing whatever to Susan. He's like, I'll consider it.
I'll consider it, yeah.
He's always sitting there like this. He's just like fucking like he has the high ground in this situation.
It's like he wrote a memo to himself. I consider that shit. Maybe, I don't know.
He's like, yeah, I just say he has that moment, like Nick said, his fingers like this. Is like, now the cards are on the table. I made her deal too good to refuse. This is like some Napoleon Dynamite level shit.
Does not engage with Chris's shenanigans, opting to just remind him of when his appointment was and leave it at that. At said meeting, despite Chris's Saul Goodman tier bargaining skills, he was forbidden from putting up signs as well as distributing his newsletter, which deeply embittered him, leading him to resent Mary and make her the primary villain of Sonichu's adventures from then on. In one of the diary entries to his no longer existent MySpace account, Chris wrote, "Mary Lee Walsh made it illegal to distribute the news dash. I am very angry at that. In response, I plan to incite the masses and hope they demand the return of the news dash so my chances on getting a girlfriend can be restored. I've also declared war on them as well." About a month later, he added that Mary Lee was trying to get him kicked out of college altogether for his stunts, though it's unknown the degree to which that's true, as Chris is a very unreliable narrator. Since he could no longer attract the ladies in the college campus, he took his sign to the Charlottesville Fashion Square Mall. Though initially seeming more promising than his love quest attempt in the college campus, it ran into problems at the mall as well. His diary entries go into detail. "I've just had my worst trip to the mall. I was working with my heart on a red string of fate when from out of the blue, a jerk cop shattered my heart and ripped up the red string. I am very mad and upset because that jerk took my idea for a fall, just like that expletive at PBCC did. Before I read on, I have to make a note here to explain that the red string of fate Chris mentions is referring to a heart made out of paper that he would throw at girls at the mall in the hopes they held onto it so that he could reel them in. If this sounds insane, it's because it is. Anyway, Chris continues, "I was not bothering anyone at the mall today. I was trying to tell myself when I got arrested for trying. I fortunately did not go to jail, but I've been stripped of my right to go to the mall by myself. I would be required to bring my mom independence and were practically murdered."
Wait, what's up?
Ain't that sexual assault nowadays?
What, throwing like a heart paper at someone?
Yeah. Ain't that sexual assault right now?
I mean,
I don't know
it
if
could
it's
be a
sexual,
form
but
of
that's assault.
assault. It's not.
It is
Yeah,
assault.
yeah. You are throwing
yeah,
something at it.
but
It's assault with romantic intent.
That's
pretty
pretty
much.
bad. That's pretty bad in modern society.
You know that reminds me
I
of.
should have
have you
done
guys-
that shit, bro.
You know what it
Yeah.
reminds me of? Have you guys seen that? What was it? That one commercial where the guy has like $1 on a string. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna be quicker than that." You imagine if that's like a fucking girl that he doesn't want, and he's just like, "Oh, you're gonna be quicker than that." And he's just fucking with them. That's his way of playing hard to get. That's how he plays that.
I hope he looked at cop now. He's like, look, I'm trying to find a woman with not a boyfriend. You are fucking my shit up.
Hey, Kelsey, you know our mall in Augusta, right? You know, it's two
Yeah.
stories, right? I can imagine him fucking with a fucking fish pole, just sending down the letter, just just
Dangling it over the side.
Yeah.
Just
Gotta
drop
be
it right
quick.
onto someone's head or their face. Just
I thought of something really stupid, by the way. If you get, that saying, what was it? Plenty of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what he probably he heard that. And he's like, "Oh, I gotta reel them in.
I gotta fish.
Yeah, I gotta literally
I know how
fucking
to fish.
Hey, that's fucking. Hey, that's catfishing at the best, ain't it?
Oh, God. Imagine if a girl actually grabbed that though, and we're just like, they kind of got the idea of what was going on. They didn't see Chris Chan, and then they see Chris Chan. That's at the end of the fucking.
The fuck?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Because I mean, there are some ladies out there that I think appreciate the pageantry and the audacity and of things of that
Mhm.
nature. But yeah, and then they see him and then they hear him talk, and it's like, oh yeah, no,
No.
I'm gonna.
You see the big.
You're
He didn't even know this.
catfishing me,
This
bro.
big medallion that he's wearing around his chest. He wears it for years. It's made out of crayons he melted together,
What?
or like a Crayola
Yeah,
clay
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, it's crayons. It's literally just melted crayons.
Shelby, he will sell He'll sell you one.
No,
if
you
would
can buy
like
them
it.
on Etsy. You can buy them on Etsy. I like I said, Kelsey, check your mail in a few days. Just check your mail for that.
Yeah, I'm not open that shit.
You might also see a heart attached to a string. She might try to, might want to follow that.
Hey,
Yeah,
you gonna
fuck
really
that.
win, bro, though.
No, never that.
This encounter inspired him to create one of his most famous terms, jerk-ops, a portmanteau of jerk and cops. From then on, whenever something bad happened to him, Chris would find a way to blame it on the jerk-ops. He even made a Pokemon card for them, with the description reading, "This copper fiend
Yu-Gi-Oh
wants to
card.
shatter the virgin's heart by destroying his tools for attracting a boyfriend-free woman." Within a week of his arrest, and possibly because of it, Chris gets suspended from his college, saying he got suspended from PBCC by the board, and I have that meddling expletive to thank for this as well. I am super angry. My dad is
Meddling?
bloodthirsty for revenge as well. He's going to write
This is
to
a Scooby-Doo?
U.S. George W. Bush Jr. and Laura Bush to help me get allowed back to PBCC. We all curse death upon Mary Lee Walsh. After this, both his diary entries and his attempts at the love quest died down.
Hey, please pause it. I
Likely
got
Yeah, I got
Paris.
you.
this motherfucker wrote a fucking letter to George W. Bush.
He wrote a letter to George W. Bush Jr., who doesn't exist. So that letter probably went fucking nowhere.
He-
I'm sorry. The fuck?
Just that and the intent of which he created the own jerk up, right? And it's
Yeah.
they're reading off his sole intent. He's like, oh, there's
It's
a young
to
man
shatter the
Yeah.
virgin's dreams, dude. I
This
love
young
it.
man was like a prospective girlfriend. Let me fuck it up. Let me ruin
The
it.
security guard was doing his fucking job, bro. What the fuck? The fuck?
No, he was an obstacle. He was a villain in his way. He was a fucking.
The fuck?
With his
I'm
sole
jerk off.
motivation.
Don't
Sole
you like, by the-
motivation, no love.
Don't you like, by the way, how it's like? I'm assuming either Turkey Tom missaid that, or maybe like, what was it like? Chris Chan, like, you know how he's making the Pokemon cards, right? And he
Yeah.
makes one, but that's like that's a Yu-Gi-Oh card. That's not a Pokemon card.
Yeah.
That's like the one time he like fucked up the card, or he did that intentionally. I have no idea, but
I don't know. That's just crazy.
yeah.
I mean, with his lax rules, I mean, who knows? Who fucking knows, man?
Can I also put a disclaimer out there? If that's okay, Kelsey. Can I do that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously with Chris Chan, we know they go by she. We keep saying he because at the time, this is when they went as he. They went as he.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
understand, anyone watching.
That is
Yeah.
very important to say that I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not trying to misgender this person.
No,
Yes,
yeah.
This
yes,
is just a
yes.
this is a person that has been a topic of discussion for quite some time.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just wanted to
And
make that
we're
clear. So,
yes,
because
we're using his. Yeah, we're
But
using his
understand
gender
it's in the past tense, and we acknowledge that.
Yes.
oh
yes.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
To cut back on it to avoid getting in even more trouble. In the meantime, Chris was mandated to consult a psychiatrist for an evaluation as a result of his community college's board. It has a few noteworthy excerpts, such as, according to his parents, there have been a number of incidents which led to his suspension. They feel strongly that the suspension was unwarranted and did not take into account the patient's developmental limitations. One such occurrence was during an interaction with African American classmates. These young women were questioning the patient regarding his search for a girlfriend, at which point he told them they could not be his girlfriend because they were not white. This was perceived as racially insensitive, although from the patient's perspective, he was merely pointing out that they did not meet his standard criteria for a female companion. To the surprise of many, the psychiatrist considered Chris to be dealing with his autism in a relatively healthy way, despite the occasional mischief he got up to. One interesting point that has been brought up as a consequence of this document is the fact that both the Love Quest and Sonichu, Chris's two most destructive obsessions by far, only began manifesting after Chris began taking Paxil in 2000. Though I'm no specialist on the matter, some have said that Chris should not have been put on an antidepressant, let alone Paxil, which is the most potent SSRI available. Considering how mild his symptoms were at that point, it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I think this is also important because I had this reaction when he said it earlier. You do not, and like I get it. It was 2000, and I guess some doctors still thought that that was okay. But just
Yeah.
in case anybody needs to fucking hear it, you cannot medicate away autism like it's depression and anxiety. And if you
No.
try, you will fuck that person up 1000%.
I do have a
It's
question.
Chris Chan.
What made him? Yeah, what made him transition to a woman? Is the video going to say that? Or
They
No,
do get into. I think they do get into because a lot of documentaries have gotten to. I don't remember the reason though. I actually don't.
It's more nuanced.
Okay.
Like for years before transitioning, Christian would often make these videos and rants talking about how they didn't value masculinity very strongly and considered himself a tom girl, which is
Yes.
literally just the opposite of a tomboy. So
Yes.
those thoughts
So-
didn't come out of nowhere. There were hints of that for years and years beforehand. Probably just took them a little
So
bit longer
he's
to
not.
realize it.
Yeah. So he's
Yeah.
not. He's not homosexual in any kind of way. He just wants to be a girl, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to point that out because there is a difference of being gay and being transsexual.
There is a huge difference. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You can continue.
This document is the fact that both the Love Quest and Sonichu, Chris's two most destructive obsessions by far, only began manifesting after Chris began taking Paxil in 2000. Though I'm no specialist on the matter, some have said that Chris should not have been put on an antidepressant, let alone Paxil, which is the most potent SSRI available. Considering how mild his symptoms were up until that point, it would make a lot more sense for him to just have regular appointments with a psychologist instead of being medicated with no follow-up whatsoever. The psychiatrist that did this particular evaluation, however, was not of this opinion, and instead recommended that his dose of Paxil be increased from 20 milligrams to 30 milligrams daily. I bet that after this,
God
Chris
damn.
improved by leaps and bounds. Regardless, the rest of 2004 was quiet, with the exception of a video Chris recorded in his bedroom singing a few of his songs, wherein he was wearing the outfit he would become almost exclusively associated with. Along with it, he is donning his esteemed Sonichu medallion, completing the Chris Chan uniform to a T.
The outfit.
I
Unfortunately,
shouldn't be
this
laughing
guy
at this,
asked
but I
for
can't
his
help it.
girlfriend.
I want to pause real
Well,
quick, by the way, to
well,
say something. I'm going to Comic-Con this week, or Fan Expo as it's called. I've seen people cosplay as him. I have seen people
Really?
dressed as they wear that shirt and the medallion.
And
Like,
this
they-
isn't, and you're saying that this has inspired you artistically and passionately to do.
Oh
the
yeah,
same.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I'm actually gonna go as Sonichu himself. I'm gonna actually present myself as that. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually at that, and also another person way down the road. If you guys ever want to get into it, Carlos, you've heard of Dr. Disrespect, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen people cosplay as him after the controversy.
Yeah.
Like literally like months after.
Yeah. In the same way that people cosplay as fucking Freddy Krueger, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Back,
exactly.
man, that's a
Chris spends
Oh,
another Christmas is a virgin full of rage. 2005 rolls around, and a few posts begin popping up on Chris's website, claiming to be hot chicks who have seen him at the mall, but didn't come up to him for one reason or another. Though few and far between at this point, these were Chris's first proper trolls, first of exceedingly many. However, one of the people that commented this wasn't joking. An actual girl witnessed what Chris was up to at the mall she worked at and decided to seek his website out. This was quite the event, since up until this moment, Chris never got the time of day from anyone, let alone a girl. Her name was Anna, and in a blog post titled The Tale of the Crazy Pacer, she writes extensively about her encounter with Chris, saying, "Once upon a time, there was a guy who paced in front of Abercrombie and Fitch. He'd come and do it for hours on end, just walking back and forth. He was an okay looking guy, not evil looking like creepy molester dude, so he would pace for his allotted time, then leave. Sometimes as he paced, he would sing or shout. Nobody really could ever tell what he was saying. Oh yeah, and he always wore the same shirt, a nice little long-sleeved red and blue number that had a gold crest on the left side and a white collar and cuffs. Someone, I can't remember who, suggested that the next time he looked in, we wave at him. Whoever suggested it should die, unless it was me, in which case I feel I've received enough punishment. Of course, he looked in and we all waved at him. He looked kind of bewildered and sort of scared at first, but quickly caught on and waved back. So we went about our business, doing floor set and junks, and a little while later he came in. I was kind of apprehensive about this. I mean, I've been doing floor set all day and I didn't really feel up to dealing with another crazy, but he came right up to the counter I was standing behind and he looks right at me, all fidgety and twitchy, and this conversation ensued. Chris, you look to be about 19 years old, right? I busted out laughing because he guessed it right. That's exactly right. See, I know these things. I can just tell how old someone is, he said, kind of proud and still timid at the same time. My name is Christian, but you can call me Chris. I'm Christian W. Chandler. Oh, hi, Chris. So, do angels have names? I found out later that he meant to say, do angels like you have names? Poor guy was so nervous he didn't get it right. Probably, but I don't know. Well, what's your name? Sorry, I don't go for pickup lines, I replied, kind of laughing. His face kind of fell and I felt sorry for him, but he pressed on. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. I was just asking your name. So what is your name? My name is Anna. Okay, well, Anna, is there any way I could get your phone number and maybe I could give you a call sometime? No. Well, do you want my phone number then? You can call me on my cell phone. No thanks. So, do you have a boyfriend, Anna? No, I'm not looking for one though. All right. Well, do you have access to the internet? Yes. Okay, hold on one second. I'll be right back. I nodded, and he went back to his spot where he kept his 2 tote bags and his Sam's Club cup. So Christian came back and handed me a card with a crudely drawn Sonic the Hedgehog and some other yellow Sonic-looking creature on it, along with Christian's name, email address, and website. It was a homemade business card. That's my email address, and you can just email me sometime, okay? Okay, I said, not intending to email him at all. Despite how awkward these exchanges self-evidently were, you gotta give it up for Chris's autistic riz, even if just a little bit. For a guy with as many setbacks as him, he handled the situation with more dignity than expected. Many guys today are afraid to even approach a girl. On March 24th, released one of the earliest proper comic book productions, Sonichu Adventure Sub-Episode 1, dubbed Jerkop-tastrophe. Despite being called Sonichu Adventure, it's mostly just about Chris himself, retelling the story about being banned from a mall. On March 29th, an update to his love quest is posted to his diary. Well, at the mall today, my heart had an extremely fast recovery. Then it became majorly shattered again. I went to the mall like normal. I picked up some chicken nuggets and a drink.
Is he? Did he leave real quick or?
Could just be the Shelby's connection just dropped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he'll probably.
If so, he'll probably be back in shortly. He didn't say anything.
Or
so
I'll get a message. Yeah, I'll get a message from something. Yeah, he should be fine.
Or Iran striked where he lives.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. That was a concern he was sharing with us earlier.
Oh, was it really? Dude, I don't want to get into that too much, but the way the world's going, that shit's got me fucking paranoid. Like that shit's like fucking insane.
What is now?
The shit going on. I don't want to get too much into it because if we start talking,
we don't
about
have
it,
to. I was just making a callback.
No, you're good. I was just making a comment of like that shit's like fucked right now, like everything going on. So,
okay.
Do you want to continue though, or wait until he gets back?
We can continue. He can hop back on. There's a lot of content, so you know.
Okay.
Then I went to my spot.
Actually, I think it would be funny, by the way, if he comes in on a part that like he missed out the context for, and we just have to like let him just see what
Yeah.
I put up a chair to sit and eat my food. Then from out of the blue, this cute girl approached me and she asked me if I was looking for a girlfriend. Her name was Hannah and she was 18 years old. I said yes and we small talked for a bit. Then she invited me over to Starbucks for coffee. After she left, I became very excited and oh my god, all over. After calling mom and eating my nuggets, I lifted the chair with such cheer and grace and spun around with it like a dancer. Then I put it back where it was. I felt that my love quest had finally come to an end. And I so elated that my shattered heart had a full fast recovery. I went to Starbucks and we talked about basic things. I showed her my Sonichu scrapbook. She was very impressed. I gave her my email and both my phone numbers on a Sonichu site card, and she gave me her email address. I was very attentive as I took notes about her and maintained eye contact. As I left her, I gave a double take flirt. That was the rise. Now here comes the fall. As I was sitting at my spot thinking about future steps for later dates, Anna and Dana told me that when they talked to Hannah, she told them she was setting me up in a prank. I could not believe it, so I found and asked Hannah. Sadly, it was true. Then in major shock, Anna and Dana told me that when they talked to Hannah, she told them that she was setting me up in a prank. I could not believe it, so I found and asked Hannah. Sadly, it was true. Then in major shock, my heart shattered again by 85%, and I let out a big no. After that shout, I got kicked out again, and I'm still without the Fashion Square shopping center that I've grown accustomed to after my whole life. So my love quest has restarted, and as for that date of ours, I'll always remember it, but as far as I'm concerned, it does not count as my first date. I was not as happy as I was today in a long time. I'm once again heart-shattered and sad, but I will not give up on my love quest, because there has to be one true boyfriend-free, dateable, non-pranking girl out there somewhere. Poor guy really cannot catch.
Okay, hello.
That was mean.
Yeah, that was mean. That was pretty
That's
fucked
some
up.
that's some like Stephen King novel shit. That's like Carrie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
imagine
guys.
Chris-
My fucking laptop died.
That's
Nah,
okay,
you're
bud.
good.
What did I miss, big dog?
He pretty much thought he had a date with a girl who was pretty much setting him up it was a prank pretty much. Sorry, I can't talk right.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they just
That girl he met before Anna, apparently
Yeah.
that Anna had a friend named Hannah, and
Yeah.
she actually went up to him and acted like they were gonna have like a little date thing, and she exchanged phone numbers and put and he showed off his website and everything, and then he finds out that it was just a fucked up prank set by the girl at
That's
Abercrombie
fucked
Fitch.
up.
Yeah.
So what's the aftermath of this?
The aftermath
that's-
is that
I-
he screamed no at the top of his lungs, like Darth Vader, and this got him kicked out of the mall and banned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like kind of like at the end of the movies where you find something's happening, like, and it's like that one epic scene. No.
Like Darth Vader fucking just screaming that shit. By the way,
And
Kelsey,
he
Star Wars is
specifically said
pretty
it went
better.
by 85%. What? Star Wars can go fuck itself. 85%. He's very specific in his his percentage of upsetness. It was 85%.
Around this time, Chris finished Sonichu number 0, the first proper edition of the comic book series, the hand-drawn premiere issue as he puts it. The stories in it were mostly reworkings of previous standalone comic strips, complete with nonsensical plots and nightmarishly ugly artwork that Chris Chan later became synonymous with. He also begins drawing new Sonichu releases during his public outings for his love quest, and is even noticed by someone who gives probably one of the best summaries of Chris Chan's essence at this point in their blog post. So Sonichu returned to Alderman today. I'm not sure what to make of him. He sits in his chair and draws his Sonichu comics, harmless I assume, yet I feel like he knows he's different. He knows that the world rushing in front of him is not his own. Surrounded by the brightest students in America, whatever that means, he sits in his chair and draws, 23 years old. I'm not sure he even graduated high school. In front of him, texts of Plato, Faulkner, God, and Kleist swirl. Does he have the capacity to understand these works? Whether he can or not, I'm not sure, but there is something in his eyes that realizes that there is a level of understanding and thought that he is unable to partake in. As he slumps lower and lower in his chair, with each student he eyes reading or holding a book, he falls into himself, into the markers and colors on the page in front of him. He seems intelligent enough to understand that he does not understand, and that is the hardest part of all. I never thought I'd see Chris be described this poetically in my life. I suppose there's a first time for everything. Amidst these sightings, Chris decides to go to the Mid-Atlantic Anime Convention, where he took a few printed copies of Sonichu number 0 and distributed them to whoever would accept. As his love quest sinks to new lows, Chris gets kicked out from the local McDonald's, where he's also been conducting his attraction sign experiments. I'll spare you from hearing the diary entry in its full extent, but the managers, Chris's nickname for the managers, started calling the cops on Chris for loitering in their establishment. In later Sonichu episodes, the manager received in-universe stand-ins. One of them was named Married Senor Comic, an alias which is completely unexplainable to anyone with a functioning brain, and for no apparent reason, had robot arms and legs. After Married Senor, Chris's creativity must have run out, since the other one was just succinctly referred to as Black Fat Jerk, on account of the fact that, to Chris, that's all he really was. If his diary entry is anything to go by, Chris began explaining his situation to them in song and dance. When one of the managers asked Chris to just have a normal conversation with him, he sat silent for a minute until he came up with possibly the most schizophrenic own ever uttered. I do not speak to any man other than myself, because they have all taken the pretty girls, leaving me with none. What a wordsmith. He followed this up by giving them verbal punishment, the finger, and last but not least, curse Yehamehas. What's a curse Yehameha, you may ask? Well, luckily for us, Chris has demonstrated in video.
Curse Yehamehas!
A month later, a similar situation played out at Target as the managers called the cops on Chris. He claims that as he was about to give them a prepared speech, 5 cops chased him down, pulled his pants, handcuffed his wrists and legs, and hogtied him. After being briefly taken to county jail, Chris was given a court date for disorderly conduct and trespassing. Later on, he dramatized the situation in a Sonichu comic, as he always did. Fortunately for Chris, after 2 hearings, he was given a $30 fine and had to pay $56 in costs. Within a week of the Target fiasco, he was once again arrested for following too close while driving. And yes, at this point, he was a licensed driver, if you can believe it. After his suspension from college was lifted and he started regularly interacting with other people his age again, things relaxed a bit for a while as advances were made in the love quest. After bidding goodbye to Anna, who moved to Utah, Chris makes a few more attempts at finding a date over MySpace messages, mostly to no avail. The first one was Jelena, who turned him down because he seemed too desperate. Then came Lindsay, who consistently rescheduled her dates over the course of 2 months in order to never actually have to see Chris in real life. Overall, things seemed dire for our brave hero. But it was around this time that he began to rouse online attention, with a thread on a Sega forum centered around Sonichu popping up. Earlier that year, YouTube was created, so the golden age of Chris Chan was at the gates. Meanwhile, he was getting some traction in his emails. Though his application to become an official Nintendo game tester was rejected, Chris got into regular correspondence with a girl named Megan. On the 1st of November, Megan emailed Chris asking him to buy an episode of Tintin on eBay for her. They had already met in person before in a video game convention a year prior, but it wasn't until these emails at the tail end of 2005 that Chris grew obsessed with her. Though she clarified from the get-go that she wasn't interested in Chris, or anyone for that matter, in a romantic way, this didn't deter Chris, who clearly saw her as a love interest and continued to invite her on dates. To date, Megan was probably the person who had been the nicest and most patient with Chris. 2006 marked a significant rise in Chris buying the most random, useless garbage from eBay, from My Little Pony and Sailor Moon paraphernalia to German World War II photos. Apparently, all of the purchases were influenced by Megan's interests. Based on their emails, we know that Megan was into MLP, Sailor Moon, and for some mysterious reason, Wehrmacht soldiers from World War II. Considering how desperate Chris was
some
to get a
mysterious
girlfriend,
reason.
it's surprising he didn't start larvating
His motherfucker.
Eventually, he got her a Nintendo DS, which she turned down due to the fact that she already had one she bought herself. While Chris was busy spinning his wheels into the mud during his love quest by chasing after an uninterested Megan, he managed to graduate from community college, getting a degree in computer-aided drafting and design. Over time, Chris began wearing her down, continually being pushy about wanting to date her despite her repeatedly saying she wasn't interested. Most likely because of this, Megan severely limited the amount of times they met up in real life to once a week. And even then, Chris would take that as an opportunity to be as handsy as possible, which she obviously wasn't okay with. After months of this dynamic going back and forth, Chris overstepped a few boundaries when he started complaining about Megan being friendly with other guys. This was grating for her since not only were they not dating, but she was also not interested in the guys Chris was paranoid about. This caused her to email him in a slightly stricter tone, saying, "I don't want to have to tell you again or I might get really angry, because you know unwanted remarks or advances to a girl is sexual harassment, and I don't take that lightly, okay? So can you understand now? Anyway, sometimes I get the feeling that you copy me to get me to like you. Like Sailor Moon, for example. The only Sailor Moon thing you had was that adult video, and since I told you how much I love it, then you start getting into it. Kind of like My Little Pony. That kind of thing really annoys me. You make it sound like I have to get your approval to be that kind of friendly to someone." And I felt rather disappointed about those remarks. And you already know I don't love you, so why do you make yourself unhappy by holding grudges and trying so hard to win me over? So please, if you really want to make me happy, please let me make my own decisions and figure out my own life, okay? Besides, even if I had a boyfriend, what makes you think I'll stop being friends with you? I'm not that kind of person who'd say, well, I have a boyfriend now, so see ya. No, I'm not that kind of bitchy girl. You know, I haven't talked to this person in a year. I'm not really wanting to get together with him either. Boyfriends aren't for me. Don't want them, don't need them. However, I can't say I like how much you call him a lucky jerk. Why is he a jerk? Why do you call all guys that? Because they take all the pretty girls, leaving you none to choose from? Hate to be blunt, but that's a pathetic way to think. You don't go to a mall and buy a girlfriend. The thing is, guys didn't take all the girls. The girls just didn't choose you. Quit blaming other men. Personally, I think you shouldn't be so picky about what they look like. All you say is you want a pretty girl. Well, it's the inside that counts. After all, a pretty girl can have the personality of Satan. Meanwhile, an ugly girl may have a heart of gold, but you wouldn't even give a second look, would you? I often wonder, if I was an ugly girl, you wouldn't even come near me, would you? Little did poor Megan know.
I want to
She
say
has
real
a
quick.
point.
Yeah,
She
no, I
has a
want to say
He has the whole
she is
point.
right. She is right about you can't go to a mall and buy a girlfriend. You use bait in a line and you throw it at them.
You dangle
fish
it
her.
over the section.
you
He
fish
obviously
them, yeah.
didn't try that with her.
Yeah. I have to say she put up with him a lot longer than a lot of people have so far. Like a lot of women would
She
have.
put up a lot longer with him than I would have.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, all around, she seems like a great gal with the small asterisks of the Nazi uniform wearing obsession.
Let's
not forget about that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, let's calm down.
Oh my god.
That the powers of the Chaos Emeralds render Chris impervious to reality checks of any nature. While this drama ensued, Chris never stopped cranking out new issues of Sonichu, all containing the same themes recycled over and over again, such as Sonichu's enemies always being conspicuously black, the text bubbles being randomly placed on the page with no discernible reading order, Chris vicariously defeating his real-life opponents such as Mary Lee Walsh and the guy who Sarah Hammer dated instead of him, so on and so forth. What was noticeable in the later episodes was that, progressively, Sonichu became a secondary character in his own comic, with the protagonist becoming Chris himself. Sonichu's function was primarily to serve and protect Chris, and every once in a while symbolically represent who he wanted to be. Additionally, other than real-life people, Chris also added a character called Crystal Weston Chandler, a female version of himself that seems to simultaneously fulfill the ideal role of the mom, the ideal daughter, the ideal sister, and the ideal girlfriend. The fact that this guy wasn't regularly seeing a therapist is a travesty, to be honest. As Megan put a healthy amount of distance between herself and Chris, his eBay purchases started drifting towards the salacious. Items include Bootylicious Love Doll, Pearl Beaded Prolong Ring, Nina Hartley's Guide to Sex Toys, and my personal favorite, Space Nuts. After years of frustration, Chris began taking matters into his own hands, and following this general theme, he also decided to give up on Santa, since for the past 3 years, he was asking for a girlfriend which Santa never delivered. 2007 begins, and Chris begins working on a new project called Yep, I'm on TV, which consists of videos he had recorded on VHS tapes turned onto a DVD. Of course, he had no idea how valuable an archive of his activities would eventually become, and most likely he just did this out of his narcissistic self-obsession with every moment of his life. Later on, the leaking of this DVD was of great assistance to those interested in the CWC lore. But at the very end of this highlight reel about Chris's life, there was one video filmed solely for the purposes of being put into the DVD called Christian Weston Chandler's Future Message.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and dudes of all teenagers.
In this 9-minute long prophetic manifesto, Chris summarizes the lessons he had learned up until this point. He did this because, ideally, he wanted this video to be played in schools. In it, he goes on about why going to school isn't torture, why drinking and smoking are bad, the extreme importance of staying straight, and last but not least, that girls should consider dating uglier guys because they will have a better personality and a brighter future. It's around this time that Chris reconnects with Cole, his previously mentioned half-brother, to offer him a copy of his autobiographical DVD. For the first half of the year, it's business as usual for Chris, who continues to exchange emails with Megan, where she continually complains about him touching her when she doesn't want him to. By June, she leaves for Kentucky, and Chris misses her dearly since she was pretty much the only female he could get close to that wasn't his mom. This wasn't the only thing causing him to be upset, though, as by the end of June, Chris's dog, Patty, that he had had since 1988, had to be put down. He even wrote his dog a eulogy, saying, "When Patty was brought to the vet on that faithful day, I was distraught with fright and concern for her health. I stayed with her during her final moments with my hand on her head and a tear in my eye. When my mother was brought the paper that gave the doctor permission to send her on her way, I didn't want her to be the one to sign it. I raised Patty since she was a 6-week-old pup, and I wanted to take the strain for signing the one-way ticket. It was hard for me, but it was for the best. So I signed that paper with a crying Sonichu face saying, "We love you, Patty." After that, I gave her my final pets, hug, hand to paw hold, eye contact, ear rub, cheek to fur rub, and I sadly waved her for the final time, and I said, "Goodbye, Patty. I love you." As I stood outside, I heard Patty's last bark saying, "I will always love you, Chris. Thank you." Regardless of how thorny and problematic of an individual Chris Chan is, losing a pet you've had for that long is tough, especially considering how few and far between were his sources of affection. Patty must have been a lot for him, and it's hard not to feel for the guy. But let's not dwell on this for too long, because Chris did not either. By July, Christian had entered a contest called Chop Chop Master Onion's Rap Showdown, which was created to promote the Parappa the Rapper game that was coming out that year. The grand prize was 2 PSPs and an all-expenses-paid trip to Seattle for the 2007 Penny Arcade Expo, which Chris was hoping to use in order to seduce Megan out of Kentucky and back into his arms. Well, not quite back, since she was never there. Anyway, this is Chris's entry if you were curious.
AP Station. My name is Christian Chandler. I live in Bucksville, Virginia. I have a PSP. I like the rap. I play with the rapper. I go with you now. The only song I know is Master Onion.
July was also a very active month for his eBay, and he bought plenty of more stalls, adult videos, and masturbation aids of all kinds. Mind you, all of these trinkets, gizmos, and gadgets were bought on the credit card of a nearly 80-year-old Bob. Whenever he wasn't getting busy with those, he was emailing every person he'd ever interacted with in his life to vote for his Parappa the Rapper contest entry so that he'd win the prize. He even tried Cole, but to no avail, since he seemed to be interested exclusively in trashing Chris's parents. This technique must have proved effective since his video made it to the final rounds, but in early August, it was made public that the winner of the contest was not Chris, but a guy named Adam Stackhouse. Chris would put in his 2 cents about this unfavorable result. That stupid, no good Adam Stackhouse won the trip. He had music and more than one person
12 years old.
Violation of the official rule. 3 other videos out of the remaining 9, Afrolusky, Brutal, and Street all violated the official rules as well. Those 7 people of those 4 videos should have been disqualified. Period. I am so angry of the fact that the PlayStation Company and their promotional associates not do anything to bring these violators to justice. Sworn on my autism, justice will be served to these 7 people of those 4 videos. Of course, while accusing.
All right, do you understand now why this has been like a cryptid on the internet my entire life?
Yes.
Dude, like,
Yes.
like it's an ending, and you always feel bad because to be an audience member and to laugh at this, I'm like, fuck, am I one of the trolls making fun of this autistic person? But then that thought goes away because he has you through the screen, and then you start laughing again. This is just such a Lovecraftian is the true form. This whole individual is a cognito hazard.
I remember I told one of my friends, one of the ones who introduced me to Chris Chan, right before the the big thing, right. And I was like, I feel bad for him, which I'm sure is a lot of people have probably said, right? Yeah. And him and like everyone else who kind of knew about him when I said that, were just like, do not feel bad for him. Don't feel bad for him at all. Like, you're gonna want to feel like that. Don't. Like,
it is worth acknowledging. I like the way this YouTuber describes it. Shout out to Moose Timmy or whatever his name is.
Turkey Tom.
Turkey Tom.
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. Turkerton Thomas. He continuously will use language pointing out that Chris Chan is severely autistic and suffering from mental issues, while also calling out to his face
as a weapon,
that he has
doesn't he,
delusions of grandeur. He has a massive ego.
Yeah.
Very, very, very narcissistic, which aren't uncommon symptoms of those disorders, but that is what it is. That is what it is. It's delusions of grandeur.
I would
He's
use
like
it as
literally,
a weapon.
yeah, he is literally all those things. Like, I remember when like a big shift of the nice guy thing started, people were talking shit about that. And at first I didn't really fully appreciate where they came from. Like, when that first started all those years ago, I remember thinking to myself, I mean, I'm a nice guy, but I'm not that kind of nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell is that happening? People who are just generally good dudes who want a relationship and haven't had an opportunity yet, or are still looking, because obviously those exist. But I didn't know, like, I didn't see the parentheses around the nice guy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I feel like
he's using his
the fucking definition.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say,
I feel like women should stay away from the autistic guy. I mean, unfortunately,
Sometimes,
No,
I mean, like, then autism is also an incredible. That's why they talk about it as a spectrum. This is not representative of autistic people,
No,
I'm
and
not saying that either.
and
Yeah.
it's also worth
He was
acknowledging
using his
that this.
autism as a weapon of using, getting girls.
A crutch to
Oh
feel
yeah,
sorry
as
for
a
himself.
shield, as a shield.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's also worth acknowledging that autism is not all this person has. So there's also untreated schizophrenia here. Genuine, like
Yes.
it is beyond your normal autistic individual.
Some level
I
of
can't imagine how
narcissism.
rough it must be to be schizophrenic and autistic. That's got to be a
But
really rough combo.
yeah,
But it
but-
happens, you know.
Yeah.
I'd say with this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
No, you good. I was just gonna say that, and nowadays autism people are like fucking. They're smart as shit, so they can use their autism as a fucking weapon to use and get for them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a weapon. Yeah. But go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say a couple things, like so, like fucking. My thing is like I think the people, like, obviously we can all agree on, like, the people who raised him and like the
Yeah.
people who medicated him, they all failed him. Like they pretty much
Completely.
fucking failed him. But then
Absolutely.
like he becomes an adult, right? And even with his autism and whatnot, he seems capable enough to try to maybe, from my opinion, right? I'm not obviously
Yeah.
diagnosing him, whatever, to maybe
Yes.
try to understand what he's doing, and he just lets himself get worse, right? There
Yeah.
are people who have been diagnosed, like, with autism, who, like you said, don't use it as a shield or an excuse for their shitty behavior. When you
Yeah.
are, unless I can't think of the way I want to say this properly, right? But if you're like someone who
autism
really needs to be
people are
taken
they're
care of,
smart as fuck, bro. The autism people are small as fuck.
Yeah,
Smart
but
as
if you're
fuck.
someone-
Not all, but
yeah.
but like if you're someone who, like, let me just put it this way: if you're someone who, unless you're like someone who really like, because like I said, Chris Chan is showing that they are capable of, like, being able to at least communicate with people. They're making
Yeah.
fucking artwork and comic pieces and websites, right? Stuff like that. They're capable of
Yeah.
certain things. They needed, the onus is on them to figure out a way to try to better themselves, right, and their behavior. And
Yeah.
it's again, in my opinion, unless there's something else I'm missing here with Chris Chan, that is on them. That is on her for not taking those steps to do that.
I think you're completely right.
No,
I
you're
think you're completely right, but I think it's more than that. Like 2007, we're in like the 2005 to 2007 era. We're talking about an era that was 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
although that's
Yeah.
still the 21st century, the attitude about treating mental health disorders 20 years ago was very, very different. And
Mhm.
also 20 years ago was still in the era of American history where it didn't matter if you had an autism diagnosis or not. What they were looking for is were you disabled or not. And if you
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
technically autistic, but you could still drive a car, hold a conversation, you weren't categorized as disabled and were still had
Yeah.
the expectations that you act like a non-autistic person in society. Obviously,
Yeah.
like in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, that rhetoric changed. But at this point in the timeline, we're not even there yet. Any mental health or medical
yeah.
professionals that he's seeing right
So
now
you
are working off like the outdated way of thinking from back then, which makes it
Yeah.
even worse, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're
And that's
saying-
still on them too.
Carl, you saying that he's using his autism as a weapon to lure in women, saying that, hey, I have autism, but I'm still,
I don't think he's using it as a way to lure in women. What he's using it as a defense shield when he gets rejected. If he gets
Yeah.
kicked out of
Yeah.
class for being
Yeah.
racist, for example, or girls
Yeah.
reject him because he's pacing and screaming and sweating in a mall, he gets
Yeah.
to use, well, you're just rejecting me or you're kicking me out because you hate autistic people. And then
Yeah.
he'll say something like, and that's why I don't like black people. Like it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's such a
and
it's such
he's
a
using
jumbled
that as
puzzle
a
every time.
discriminative way of saying, hey, you're not accepting me because I have autism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a logic over that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. That's pretty much. Yeah. That's what he's doing. Yeah.
Also, sorry, real quick, something I want to add. It's a little off topic, but Kelsey was talking about, kind of a plug, because I'm going to try to go back to it on my other YouTube channel, which is Phantom Void, by the way. But I go on Reddit and read like r/nice guys. The fucking text messages these guys send to women is fucking insane, dude. Like I think the first video I posted, it was, to try to summarize it real quick, it was pretty much this guy and this girl were trying to figure out, like, like, I think they met each other on a dating app, and they're trying to figure out, like, exactly, like, get a gauge on each other about what they're looking for in a partner. And he asked her about sex, and she goes, "Yeah, I'm not looking for it till marriage." I mean, granted, she wasn't a virgin, but she's like, "I think the next guy I want to wait until marriage," which is understandable, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what he said was, "So is oral out of the question?" And that's a nice way of saying that. I don't know if I should repeat what I said because I don't know if I got in trouble with that channel.
Well, listen. Like I gotta agree that subreddit and other subreddits like it make me understand why women are just afraid of men. Like,
oh no,
that's
absolutely.
ridiculous.
I
It's
scrolled
like,
through
oh my
that shit. And
God.
I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Are you insane? Like, what the fuck? Why are you saying this shit? And then being confused as to, oh, they don't like me.
Oral is still sex, bro. Either, I mean, that's my opinion. Oral or fucking intercourse is still sexing regardless. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
There's also
The
just a lot
exact
of
thing
young
he
people out there.
said, and I'll try to censor the word at least, because like I said, I don't know if I can say it or not. He said, "Can I lick your L?" Right?
Yeah.
And she started laughing, and he corrected a typo in it, and she's like, "Did you think I was laughing at the typo?" And he goes, "No, I know why you laughed. So is that out of the question?" She goes, "Yes, obviously." And it gets to a point where she's like, "Okay, this isn't gonna work out because obviously we're looking two different things, whatever, right?" And he's confused by
using
it.
his autism as a fucking advantage of him.
No, you just assumed he was autistic. We're talking
No,
about nice guys.
he's not. This guy is not. No, this is
probably a
just a
safe
random guy
assumption.
on a Reddit forum. This is a random guy.
I know he's autistic. What you talking about?
Shelby has already diagnosed him. It is.
But
That
no,
guy's
he
fucking autistic.
I think
But
he's
no, he
autistic
fucking.
himself.
Oh,
Is
the
that what you're
guy.
saying?
He might. I don't know, man. I don't know. He just. I think he's one of those red pillars or some shit that thinks like, oh, if I just keep pursuing constantly, because that's what a lot of the nice guys are. They are literally fucking people who follow like, say Andrew Tate and shit like that, who just go, oh, if I keep
I'm not
pursuing the
gonna
woman,
lie,
they're just playing
I
hard to
used
get.
Well,
If they
yeah,
fucking spit in my
nice-
face and kick me in the nuts and tell me to fuck off or they're gonna call the cops, they're just playing hard to get. That's pretty much what the guys are on that subreddit.
yeah.
I use the nice guy to an extent to see where the fuck the women are, into the sexual intercourse. You know what I'm saying?
Shelby, there's a whole different platform between what you're talking about being an actual nice dude.
Yeah.
And quote unquote nice guy. Like,
Yeah, no. When we say nice guy,
Yeah.
this is a whole different term. So you can
We're not
actually
talking
be a
about
nice
a guy
person.
being nice. Right?
Yeah,
We're
no,
talking
it's a
about-
guy. Yeah, a guy being like being nice just to get, obviously hook up with the girl, and if it doesn't go his way, he immediately starts degrading her, and that's what this guy does. The one I'm talking about right now. So because what happens is he sends a picture of himself after she tells him it's not going to work. She sends a random picture of himself. She's like, "What the fuck?" He pretty much like it devolves into her trying to explain to him she's not interested. He's still like, "Oh, when is our first date?" She's like, "What first date? What the fuck are you talking about?" And when he finally
first catfish with him.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, like, well, no, he was just, he just kept.
He was like,
Oh,
I'm gonna send that picture. He's like, I'm gonna send that picture, and the picture of my dick will change her mind. And it's just the worst thought process.
I don't think it was a dick pic.
He might be autism. He might be on something.
Well,
It wasn't.
It's not even just. It's not even
Okay.
just autism. Like, it's an entire generation of young people who are like critically underpeopled, like have no social interaction because they grew up on the internet, and the only thing they know about women comes from anime or video games or porn, or in my opinion, what is the most common, fucking so many shitty comedy romantic movies over the last 50 years that are about dopey underdog with no actual attractive qualities who always gets the hot girl at the end of the movie just because he's the underdog. Like, as if that's all you have to do to get a woman is just compliment her once and she's supposed to suck her dick. We have an entire generation of men who were raised to think that that's how women work.
I'm one of those people.
No, but like, sorry, to end it real quick with that video, with that whole conversation, right? When he finally gets the hint, he goes, "Fuck you, your tits are lopsided anyways. You look disproportionate." And then she's like, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "Who are you?" Like, he plays dumb after that. He's just like, "Who are you?" Like, so fucking stupid, dude. Like, I hate, like, it's so, when I look at that shit, I'm like, these are real people. Like, I can't believe these people fucking exist.
That's so ingenious that it worked, apparently, right? It worked, right?
No,
she blocked his ass.
I rest easy at night knowing that dude's not getting laid.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So you tell me this is the worst example of playing the nice guy, right?
Yeah, no,
This
this
is
is
what, like,
you using the nice guy just as a way of like just to like, it means to an end. And like I said, if it doesn't go your way, you're immediately just like, trying to insult them and treat them like shit just because they
It's
just told you
surface
no.
nice guy. Surface
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah.
That's some. Hey, that's some.
It's
fucking.
it's pretty much predatory. I'm sorry. That's the best way I can put that.
Yeah.
It's really just using that
Yeah.
persona to fucking try to get your dick wet. That's pretty much what that is.
I mean,
So
In my
I guess
pretty much
that's what's
any rapist fucking scenario, right? Fucking be the nice guy and infiltrate yeah.
Well, some are, some aren't. Rapists come in many different forms and stuff. That it doesn't. That's not
But in
necessarily
general, you come off as the nice guy. You have more likely
Oh,
to.
shit. Sorry.
You're good.
You have more. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I was gonna ask Rick too. Do we want to still keep going? I know we're at the like 2 hour 22-minute mark now. I'm looking at.
I'm fine with it. I'm intrigued about this dude right now. I
Yeah.
am truly interested.
I see you having a good time.
That's a big man
Like,
up there.
I will have to peel off here in just a little bit.
no, you're good. Like, because like my thing was,
11.
yeah, no, you're good. My thing was is that I see we're almost at an hour mark, and I figured that'd just be like a good way to stop, and then I can save that time, and then next stream, if you guys want, we can just do that again.
Yeah, that's.
I completely
I'm
agree,
fine
but
with
I
that,
think so that way we don't neglect other topics. I agree with Kelsey that we should.
Oh no,
just-
absolutely. Yeah, we don't have to do this every stream, but like when you guys want to get back into it, like I'll save this timestamp, and we'll just be like, yeah, we'll just get back whenever. you guys want.
1000%.
Maybe
I gotta
very
say, you
intrigued.
sharing this video with us has, in a weird way, been strangely nostalgic. It's a
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
loving
memory
this
lane.
shit. Yes,
Yeah.
I am very intrigued.
Dude, I watch so
Apparently-
many of these videos. Like this YouTuber, like it's a Turkey Tom in general. He finds like not just Chris Chan, right? But he finds like the most obscure fucking internet figures that like I don't think a lot of people have heard of. Like, okay, from context for me, right? I haven't been on the internet that much because I never really had a PC set, whatnot. I didn't get all my shit till I was an adult. And my PC set I got a couple years ago. I've been terminally online, but for people like my friends who introduced me to this person, some of the people this guy talks about, they don't even know exist.
like
I
who's been a real like eye opener for you?
An eye opener? Fucking hell. There was a guy named Mr. Pisser, I believe, that I've heard of recently. I don't
What
think
a
he's
name.
talked about him yet. But I'm sure he will. There's a guy recently on TikTok named Nova Online. And this guy got outed as like a PDF, I have to say it like this, PDF file. And is like a weird dude, whatever. There's a bunch of shit with him. I don't remember exactly all he's done because I'm still watching the video like while I'm working. There's also Daniel Larson. I don't know if you guys have
I
heard of
heard
him.
his name. Yeah. Yeah.
He so okay, without Kelsey, are you okay with me saying where we live? Do you care?
What?
Do you care where I say where we live? I'm asking if you care.
They
Okay.
know we live in Colorado. They know we live in
Okay, I just want to make
Colorado.
sure. Like, I'm asking for you, so like, yeah, we live in. Daniel Larson is a locale, or actually, I should say horrorcal from Colorado, and
Yeah.
he's someone who's known for dining and dashing. Like, pretty much a lot of people in a certain part of
fuck
Colorado
Yeah.
know him
Yeah.
for going in eating, and then what he'll do is
Yeah.
he'll go on his live stream on TikToks and be like, "Guys, I can't pay for the meal. Can you send me money right now through PayPal?" Like, he'll be on the live
Yeah.
stream eBaying
Yeah.
because he's in trouble for trying to fucking eat at Noodles and Company because he doesn't want to fucking pay. Like, he'll do
Yeah.
shit like that. And
Yeah.
he's in prison right now, I think, because he made terroristic threats to not only the White House, but also to like other people online, pretty much. He threatened to like blow them up, pretty much.
How the fuck you go from that to that? What the fuck? Okay,
I don't
then.
know. Yeah, that kid is like, he's pretty much like Chris Chan here in a sense, but like in a different sort of way. So it's the best way I can put that.
That's just crazy. Yeah, I am totally intrigued about that.
Also, another one I actually just thought of, I just remembered. Carlos,
He's a
have you heard of
veteran.
Cyrax?
Cyrax?
Yeah, Cyrax.
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard
Mortal
that.
Kombat!
Yes.
Yeah, the yellow guy from Mortal Kombat.
No. He's this guy. I don't know if he named himself from that. If you look up a picture of him, that alone will tell you what you're kind of dealing with there. Yeah, he's a weird dude. Him and also King Cobra, I believe. King Cobra, I know for sure is a guy. Like, the thing about him is like someone who like he'll make like the most obscure meals that looks dirty as fuck, like on a shitty camera.
Mhm.
And I think a recent post I saw from him was like someone showed a picture of his teeth and they're like melting away. Like his teeth are just
I
fucking disintegrating.
do know these dudes. I do know those
Yeah.
dudes.
Yeah. So those are guys I think he's also talked about as
They're
well.
like Asmongold. You
Yeah.
guys like Asmongold?
Asmongold's a weird fucking dude. I didn't know that guy just like lives in like filth and just chooses to live like that.
Yeah, he's kind of a huge cretin. And
Yeah.
I hope we all forget his name someday.
Oh no, same. Yeah, no, fuck him. All right. We'll see if we can try to finish this out real quick then.
A
Think other
couple more
people are
minutes.
cheating. Chris overlooked the fact that he himself had made over 120 fake accounts to vote for himself, as he admitted in an email to Megan. Also, his claims that Adam's video had music are based on the facts that Adam beatboxed, which hardly qualifies. In any event, his tirades continued over at his PSN blog. This is directed mostly to Adam Stackhouse, the SOB who was the alphabetically first video in the Parappa contest and got wrongfully the big prize. I loathe Adam and his sister for stealing my one chance at taking my sweet gal friend to Seattle. It would have been terrific. I might have even been able to change her outlook on not planning on having children. She and I are both virgins, although I am a frustrated, high-functionally autistic 25-year-old virgin. I don't have much going on for me, really, because I have been the dog in America's favorite game, Kick the Autistic, for my whole life. I curse those 7 people between the cast of the 3 illegal videos to die and burn. As for Adam, if he's reading this and is asking, "You've got something to say to me?" I do. P.S. Fuck you, you dream-smashing son of a bitch. One thing I would like to mention is that
the 12-year-old
in Kentucky, she wasn't checking her emails. So she had no idea what kind of garbage was in her inbox. When she returned and saw what he had been up to, she once again tried her very best to shut Chris down. I just want to say that your behavior has irritated me for the last time. First, I'll start off with saying that I'm glad you didn't win the contest, because I have no interest in going on a trip alone with someone who can't keep his hands off me. I'm not your girlfriend and I never will be. When I say don't touch me, that means don't touch me. What may seem friendly to you is sexual harassment to me. You whine that you're just being friendly, but you obviously have no consideration for my feelings. Also, I can't say I like how you use my photo in your video and on the cover of your comic book. I want them removed from the internet immediately. Since I'm not a MySpace member, I can't view what you post. If there are any photos of me on your blog, I want them removed. And I don't like your Megan obsession. I don't like being a character in your comics. I don't like how you made me a character in Soul Calibur and Animal Crossing. That kind of behavior really freaks me out. With all that said, we're down to 2 options. A, we remain friends and only friends, period, as in no more touching me, following me, asking me personal questions, and giving me things. We can still battle and trade cards and talk. Or B, never see me again. I'm sorry it's come down to this, but I've told you repeatedly in a nice way to stop, but you've never listened. I hope you will finally take what I just said into serious consideration, and now know that if you try your advances again, I won't be very nice about it. Despite how clear Megan was being, it would once again fall on mostly deaf ears, as Chris would reply with another email. Ouch, my heart. Trying his hardest to guilt trip and yakking about his love quest once again, concluding it with a declaration of his love for her. A couple of weeks go by and Chris continues sending her love mail, all while purchasing more and more sex dolls. Eventually, it seems he did take what Megan said to heart and complied with her demands, and she thanks him for it. The peace treaty between them didn't last very long after Chris began expressing his distaste for one of Megan's friends who happened to be gay. After being confronted by Megan about it, Chris replied, "Originally, I was not fond of him because it was obvious that he was a homo. Yes, I am a homophobe. I fear them all, and I fear the tormenting temptations of falling off the straight path. But then I mentally, sometimes from a DVD, and if you'll pardon the expression, shove some pussy in my face. I'll tell you what, if I ever stoop down to changing my path, I might as well would get a gender change operation." What a prophetic statement from Mr. Chandler. By some miracle, Megan is once again tolerant and patient with him, saying she understands why he's like this, since she also had a tough time in high school and felt very lonely. In that same month, a new dimension to the CWC story was revealed, as for the very first time, an online community took note of his existence. On a thread about Eulilia on the website Something Awful, Chris gets brought up, along with his Sonichu comics. Soon, he gets his own dedicated thread titled Sonichu and His Quest for a Boyfriend-Free Girl. After 2 decades of people either pitying or distancing themselves from him due to his eccentric sensibilities, Chris finally finds his niche, a target audience of people who relish in how strange and demented he is. In the thread, people point out how his website looks like a visual rendition of a grand mal seizure. Some even theorize that there was no way everything CWC made was this naturally awful, and that he must have been doing it on purpose as a really elaborate prank or performance art piece. But a handful of the users actually had experienced Chris in person. One user said, "I posted in the other thread, but I've seen this guy in real life. This is no prank. He used to go to the college I attended until he got kicked out. If anyone here is from Charlottesville, Virginia, you may have seen him also. He hangs around the UVA Alderman Library and the Fashion Square Mall. I had seen him around campus and just thought he was in an anime club or something. I never saw him with his signs. I learned a lot more about him when he messaged my sister on MySpace and invited her out for a soda. She declined and he became increasingly more harassive towards her until she blocked him. Yes, he wears that Sonichu necklace around everywhere he goes. People slowly realized that Chris was definitely not your run-of-the-mill internet weirdo. Not only was it evident he was a special kind of, well, special, but no one up until that point had probed the depths of the Quickie-verse. Despite how small of a community there was around Chris and Sonichu at the time, it was like stumbling into King Tut's tomb and finding mountains of archaeological artifacts that had been hidden away from the world for centuries. The same user from the previous post found and shared an updated and enhanced version of the attraction sign on Chris's website. This edition included a list of Chris's turnoffs, which are the following: smokers, real drunk alcoholics, gone to Moe's often, current/previous mothers. I support them fully, but I would not feel comfortable walking into a previously made family. I would feel more comfortable starting fresh and having my own children. Real ugly women, currently over 230 pounds, the low functionally mentally handicapped, the seriously physically deformed, autistic, high functional or otherwise. Although I myself am high functioning autistic, but that's besides the point. Medium or dark chocolate, police women. What turns out, firstly, is the amount of hypocrisy in this list. Not only does he exclude the ugly, fat, and autistic, all of them being categories many would group him in with, but he says police women are a turnoff when, at this point, he had bought a total of 3 cop-themed blow-up dolls. He also mentions that mothers are a turnoff.
Holy fuck, police women is a demographic of women.
He is a untoward racist son of a bitch, isn't he? With the
yeah, man.
My man said, he said for his dislikes, autistic, high function to other, then follows with, I'm autistic, but that's besides the point.
Although I'm high functioning myself, that's besides the point.
Wow. He knows he's autistic, but he fucking hates autistic people. How are you gonna be racist to their own fucking race, bro?
I don't
There's
think
only
he's
room for one
I
autistic person in this relationship.
This town ain't big. These tendies aren't big enough for the two of us.
I don't know, man.
I just like the medium or dark chocolate. Like, bro, like
real ugly women.
Oh my god.
And they noted the fact that he's been gaining weight persistently, but
no real drunk alcoholics either.
Been,
you can be like
and then
a
he
light
referenced
alcoholic.
The Simpsons, been to Moe's. I was like, really? I was like, oh man, this guy's a
he's
catch.
actually describing his mother, isn't he?
He's what?
That's his mother right there, isn't he?
Yep.
I think that's his mom, yeah.
Yeah.
He's saying that he's describing his mother, and I think you're right.
Oh shit, yeah, let's see.
But I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll save that wretched can of worms for later. In the dark underbelly of the internet, news travels at light speed. And just a little after CWC's debut as a lolcow in the Something Awful forums, discussions about him sprung up in the cartoon and video game boards on 4chan. Unfortunately, because these were from so long ago that 4chan didn't have the reputation it currently has, and consequently, almost nobody archived what went on, we don't have all of this chatter saved. Regardless, we can imagine the kind of discussions that were going on. A few days after the word of Chris Chan had been spread around, someone named Evan from the cartoons board emailed Chris saying, "This is some fan art of Sonichu my friends and I have drawn. I hope you enjoy it." One of the attached images seemed to be a GIF that depicted Chris in a staring match with a Sonic-like figure, and that was the only attachment that wasn't a veiled troll. The first one was a drawing of Chris and his love quest with a sign that said, "No darkies," while the other two were NSFW renditions of Chris and Sonichu doing unspeakable acts. Because of his infinite naivete, Chris replied, saying, "Thank you for your fan art contributions. In constructive criticism, I like the one with me in the girlfriend auditions, as well as my glaring in the eyes of the blue guy. But I am feeling great to test towards the other two. Sonichu and I are not of that nature at all. If you would like to make it up to me, though, please draw a strip of Rosachu stripping for Sonichu and to have him fuck her, and draw Rosachu masturbating and squirting." Emphasis added. I am straight, damn it. I will not be veered in any other disgustingly grotesque direction. Again, most nasty fan art are not appreciated at all. Please feel free to share that quote with the rest of the fans. Sincerely,
This-
Christian Weston Chandler. Attached was an image of
Hey,
Chris
hey,
and
buddy,
Sonic
right there, bro.
menacingly, subtitled by the phrase, "We're keeping track." It's bad enough that Chris likes the No Darkies image, but the Rosachu hentai request signals a major shift that Chris was undergoing at this time, from oddball virgin to corrupt pervert. Evan obeyed his wish, but with a twist. Much to Chris's surprise and chagrin, Rosachu was depicted as having a giant penis. Chris replied, "Do me a favor, draw a vagina on Rosachu. Rosachu is a girl. She never had a freaking pickle. If I see one more freaking pickle, and you may spread this quote to other adult fan artists, I will create you in Soul Calibur 3 and beat you up like there's no tomorrow." To which Evan responded with a simple "uh-oh," along with another MS Paint drawing of Rosachu holding a pickle, this time literally and not figuratively. This trolling conflagration hit its peak when an article about Chris went up on Encyclopedia Dramatica. After being informed about it by two people who seemed to genuinely care, Chris claimed that the article caused him to have the worst weekend of his life, saying a hacking terrorist group, Anonymous, and 4chan are somehow involved in that page. When the article itself mostly went over the things we've already covered, it did so in the typical ED fashion, rife with insulting expletives directed at Chris and his creations. Along with it came a few people trolling on his email, but no one really got to him besides Evan, probably because Chris's attention was directed elsewhere. All of this obviously upset him, and a couple of days later, he expressed his disapproval of the ED page in an uncharacteristically polite and genuine way that it's hard not to sympathize with him. In the video titled Chris Chan's Public Announcement, he simply asked that the page be rewritten in a more favorable light, suggesting edits such as including his family history. According to his headcanon, he was a descendant of Anne Boleyn on his mother's part, despite the fact that Anne Boleyn never had any children. Additionally, he claims to be 1/16th Cherokee through his father, saying, "We're a respected tribe." After apologizing for anything he could have possibly done that wasn't nice, he asks that the page be taken down. Much later, Chris relayed on emails that during this time, he and his mother were badgering the management of the game place for CCTV footage to try and figure out who took the picture of him that was featured on the ED article, which they deduced must be the same person who wrote it. However, they stopped once the owner of the place threatened to ban him for a month. It's really funny how Chris isn't afraid of being arrested by actual cops like he was at Target, but if someone merely suggests taking away his ability to play Pokemon cards with preteens for a single month, he folds just like that. On November 10th, an image of Goatsy was added to the article's gallery of images above the caption, "The true brains behind Chris Chan," and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. That set him off to make.
Okay, so Carlos, I'm gonna assume you know what Goatsy is, right?
Of course, I was wondering if we needed to do a little.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, listen, even you guys know, right? Like, you guys are of the age where you got sent this link at least once in your life, right?
What?
Kelsey, Shelby, Goatsy. You know what this is?
Somewhat, yeah.
This is a link that anybody could send to anybody, and it would take you to this website called Goatsy.com, which was just a single JPEG of a man spreading his ass open.
Yeah.
Nah, I never
Yeah.
saw that.
It was like a imitation tactic during high school. Yeah, I've been.
Yeah, it's like Tub Girl, you know?
Yeah.
I got
It
sent
was
so many
like
like.
a senior prank kind of thing. Like so in my high school it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that you send to like your grandmother, but it might be something that you send to your uncle. You know?
Fuck no, yeah.
Depends on how
He
cool
said it
your
with like
grandma
a-
is.
He just said it with like a
Gotcha,
Merry
Granny.
Christmas.
Yeah.
April
That's what you
Fools.
talking about. Yeah,
My
yeah,
grandma
I know
laughed.
what
She thought that shit was hilarious. She's sending it to the whole crew.
yeah, I think so much. Yeah.
She's sharing it with her goddamn
Yeah.
book club.
Oh dear God.
Make an account and try to edit it into a positive light himself. Emphasis on the word try because it seems not even Christian is capable of making himself look better. He removes Goatsy along with words like retarded and scary because he doesn't like them. In the section about Evan's trolling, he replaces the phrase masturbation and squirtin' with just masturbate and added a couple of notes that said every person is doing it and relief, with a smiley face next to it. In an attempt to defend himself from the accusations that he was racist, Chris edited in the following section. He's also old-fashioned in his idea of a sweetheart. She is not black. He is cool with adoption, but his dream of his future daughter calls for blood, tears, and sentinel descent. His verbal acumen never ceases to amaze me. In regards to the mockery of his attraction sign, he put in the only reasonable and inexpensive idea he could ever fucking think of. There was also some clarification about the medallion, which people were speculating was made of clay, but Chris specifically said it was made of Crayola model magic. This was just the first day's worth of edits. It was a day later, on November 12th, that Chris made the brunt of his most notable edits, such as commenting on his Officer Nasty doll, saying, "Nah, it's just my artificial woman in her plastic blue outfit. Awesome to and the cleaning maintenance is simple. She'll only last until she has her internal injury." Among these discretionary, even humorous additions, he also makes possibly one of the worst mistakes of his life. For absolutely no comprehensible reason, he makes multiple additions to the gallery, all consisting of hand-drawn Sonichu hentai, with the exception of 2 images. The first is titled Mary Wants It.jpg, a nude Mary Walsh on her evil throne, beckoning with her finger and saying, "Come and lick my pussy, my jerk-off slave." What the fuck? If you can believe it, that wasn't what got him in trouble. But the next image, the infamous Shame Came for Quickie.jpg, which featured Chris with a smirk, bring a naked female with one hand and doing a thumbs up in the other, captioned with, "Your sister has come for me." Though obviously I can't show the whole image, people have done some anatomical analysis on it in order to understand the inner workings of Chris Chan's creative mind. People began wondering what Chris meant with the caption, because usually when doing trash talk, the target tends to be people's mom, not their sister. Discussions ensued as to what this actually meant to Chris, with some even thinking that the girl in the drawing was Crystal, his imaginary sister/daughter/girlfriend. Little did they know that Chris, at least at the time he wrote the caption, believed John, Megan's brother, was the mastermind behind the trolling, and the caption was meant for him. The girl in the drawing was Megan, but no one knew this other than Chris. The rest of that year's edits of the ED page were uneventful back and forth between Chris and the site's moderation. Over in Chris's emails on December 30th, he wrote and sent a poem that's quite the mouthful to say the least. "For my true love, I'd treat her tenderly, sweetly, gently, like a summer breeze. I'd caress her skin gently with my strong fingers. I'd take her to eat and provide for her to my ability. I'd start small at McDonald's, then let it get better in due time. When the mood is right, I'd whisk her in my arms and lift her up in sweet gentleness. If she is willing to allow the pleasure, I'd lay her down, caress her gently, tickle her fancy, have her tickle my fancy, and give it to her with the learned, lonely experience I've endured. I have no..."
All right, so we're gonna stop it there. We're at the hour mark.
He
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, this lonely, horny man can be a poet. It's striking. It's some of the ways
I have always felt this way.
Yeah.
His vocabulary stuns me. His usage of words is never wrong or inappropriate.
He's like Ernest Hemingway on a fucking, I don't know, man. That shit's crazy, dog.
Dark universe Ernest Hemingway.
So
Yeah, and then
go ahead, Kelsey.
well, I'm just saying, it's the. I mean, I'll say it, man. It's the artistry of his words, and then you parallel, or it's completely. Fuck. He makes me feel dumb. I'm trying to articulate. Okay, it's such a like. You can't tell me that this man wrote that. That sounds like it could be out of an adult erotic novel, essentially, on one side, and then compare that to my creative genius of bringing Sonic and Pikachu together, because that's his own entity. And these are my artists. It's so base. It's like something an 8-year-old would do, but you write in that manner. Like I don't. That doesn't make.
Kelsey, maybe you should read some of these comics if you want to truly understand what we're talking about. Like,
we can send them to you.
No, this is
along with the medallion.
He's like bringing Pokemon
completely degenerate bullshit. We'll do no such thing.
Yeah, adult sexual fantasy into one fucking narrative and just spitting out words. Pretty much, right?
It's like that meme. Hold on.
Does he have a ghostwriter? I feel like he has to have...
So this is why there was a debate. I mean, like when I was a teenager, there's a legitimate debate. Is this a bit? Is this a character? Like, is this someone doing a long-term troll himself? People used to feel the same way about people like Tommy Wiseau or Dax Flame. How much of a character is this? Or are you actually this autistic?
Yeah, like Larry the Cable Guy.
So he's proclaiming he's autistic, but some way the autism is I don't know how to explain it.
It's one
I
of
don't
the
know.
it's weird because like it's you guys seen that meme where it's like the two roads where you can choose, right? Like one
Yeah.
is the Sonichu path, the other one is like this like poetic side of him, and he
Yeah.
just fucking just steamrolls right through the fucking middle. Like
Yeah, like, he don't know if he's fucking Sonic or him fucking self right now.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah,
like,
and
dude,
dude, again, this is still in his years of sanity. You have to understand that
Yeah.
the delusion
yeah,
only
no,
gets
this is
worse as he gets
still
older.
but
tame.
even
This
at
is
this
still
point,
tame.
I'm just saying, if I was an archaeologist and I'm looking this up, and this is hundreds of years have passed, I would be convinced that these are two different people. Whoever's writing what he said, I'm like, that someone paraphrased or wrote for him what he said, because there's no way the guy who made Sonichu and made Luigi into a human fucking Pokemon card character,
It's like-
there's they cannot be the same person that wrote that. I just
Oh, they
Yeah.
are.
It's like
man.
Kelsey's
it's a
like saying,
paradox.
like,
That's the word.
Yeah.
It's a fucking paradox.
it's like Plato saying like his sexual life. He's comparing it to fucking whole fucking. I don't know what I'm trying to say is the universe. I don't know, like the cave.
dude-
He's in the cave, but he's fucking describing the whole fucking universe inside the fucking cave. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I'm just-
I actually
Yeah.
do know exactly what you're saying. It's insane that
It's-
I do, but I know exactly
it's like
what you're saying.
it's like
You know what I'm
forcing me
saying?
to.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
Plato's
what I'm saying?
cave. He's the man in
Yeah.
Plato's cave who's somehow gaining all the insights about how the world works from just the shadows.
I'm
Yes.
just, dude. I'm imagining now, like, you know what I'm saying, like Edgar Allan Poe. You know, he's sitting by the firelight and he's got his pen, quill, or whatever, and he's writing. He's finishing up. You know, quote the Raven, nevermore. And he's like, "Huh, finish this masterpiece." I also drew this picture of me fingering your mom, and it's just,
I mean, like I was gonna say,
I
'cause
make your mom come.
that doesn't
I'm like,
entirely.
you keep-
That's not an entirely unfair description of Edgar Allan Poe, though, right? Like,
I mean, I
No, I'm just
It's
saying
not
it's
the
like
craziest
he's in the cave describing the outside of the fucking cave he's living in. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's just crazy.
I am awestruck by him, but like not in the ways that from what you were, because like I said, me and Shelby are having blind reactions to this guy. I mean, I may know a little bit of just a smidge more just because I've been outlined, or you know, Nick has
Yeah.
proposed this idea to me of him, but I don't know shit about him either. Super by and large, I don't, you know, I'm very blind to this reaction, but like I am
feel like he's
interested in him
autistic.
in the way that I wasn't expecting to be, because it's just I just
Yeah.
can't believe. It's just so hard for me to fathom his
I'm
writings
just
and
saying,
then
like,
Sonichu. Like this is not the same
Yeah.
person. It
wait
can't be.
till you fathom the crime he commits. I'll
Yeah,
just say
I
that.
am so
I really don't. If
intrigued,
you're this
what the
invested, I'm
fuck-
not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, like if you guys really want to, like Kelsey already kind of knows about it, but like
A little bit, yeah.
I'm figuring out, like just wait, Shelby, wait until like we get through the end of this at some point,
Yeah.
because it gets worse from here. This is tame. This is
So
really
tame.
I can believe it because right now, fucking the experience I'm living in, he's a fucking autistic rapist right now. That's what I'm fucking getting at right now.
yeah.
You
Like,
call him
he-
a rapist already, or a
Yeah,
try to use-
because fucking he
Oh,
don't
I
he,
didn't even hear that. You say rape.
he don't understand the word no. Like fucking
He's a sex pest.
Anal
You can at
woman.
he's
Yeah.
he's like he's a
Yeah.
sex pest. Yeah.
yeah, like just like Diddy, like he don't understand the word no. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. I
Yeah,
agree.
no, yeah.
Yeah, like
I just thought that was
his persuasion
actually-
of love is different of the woman's persuasion of love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that might
Alright.
be a good place to end it because I
Oh
do
yeah, no, I
need to
gotta
get
go to the bathroom
signing
too,
off
by the
tonight,
way.
but-
So I'm gonna save the screenshot of where we're at right now. So give me I'm gonna do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
no fucking
I am totally intrigued about the rest of the story. where it goes.
Yeah. So like I said, we don't do this every stream. I can even look for other topics that are way shorter than this fucking guy if you guys want, or like, because I even told
No, I
Kelsey,
feel
I
like
was
it's in some kind of capacity we have to finish this. We have to finish
do
it.
you want to
like-
finish it next stream then? Like, I'll be down to hop
I
on.
think this is worth discussing, man. I've had no shortage of discussions about this individual.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you brought it up, the topic of I have to know the ending of this shit. Like, what the fuck?
You guys are sold on the narrative, so yeah, we're gonna bring it to conclusion.
Yeah,
and
of course.
it'll be
course.
interesting to
Man,
get
fucking
it'll be
insane.
interesting to get the other two's eyes on this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
course.
definitely. But
All right.
all right.
Yeah. We'll start off with final words. We'll start with you, Nick, since you are the guest on the show. Do make sure to plug yourself one more time. And
Oh yeah, you
let
guys can
people
find
know
me
where else
on
they can find you.
you guys can find me on YouTube with Phantom Void. I also got a gameplay channel. I just edited like a bunch of my streams or a couple of my streams now. And I'm gonna start uploading those to YouTube. That's Phantom Alien, and then you also can find me on Twitch at Phantom Alien 616 on Twitch. That's where I stream live. I'm actually gonna be streaming tomorrow Elden Ring. So if you guys also want to hop in and watch me play that, I've been playing that for the past 2 weeks now. So, but yeah, you guys can definitely check me out there.
Facebook, friend request me on Facebook, and I will set that shit, and I will follow you, and I will fucking watch all the fucking videos you share, bro. Because that shit is interesting and interesting because that's just wild, bro.
Yeah. No, if you want, like I said, also check out this guy. I'll add you on Facebook. But like I was gonna say, check out this channel. Like the Turkey Tom, he's one of my favorite YouTubers to watch.
Yeah.
Definitely watch his stuff. It's very interesting how he just deep dives into this stuff and like goes really. He'll find like information about these people too. Like I'll see in other documentaries that aren't in there. Well, you know.
But this shit makes YouTube like this is the YouTube validation of what they're fucking made of and what their platform is about. It accelerates them and makes profit and shit. I'm very intrigued about it. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on,
But-
right on. All right. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm probably gonna have to take off now. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll let you guys do your thing, but I'm gonna probably.
No, we're just finishing
I have
off
to-
final words, man. It's all good.
No, you're
Yeah.
good. You're good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know,
of course.
go pinch it off. Go pinch it off. Do you?
No, you're good.
Don't pee in a bottle
All right.
like Turkey used to do.
He's prairie
Oh.
dogging. He's prairie dogging. Let's let him go.
Oh god, no, it's not that. I gotta take a fat pee, you know. But
The
yeah, no,
fattest. The fattest.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I will see you guys next week though. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
Of course, we'll see you
Oh,
next
yeah,
time.
man.
Hey,
Hey, bud.
you are very intriguing. I'm forward to fucking listening to you, bro. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. You guys have a good night. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See you, bud. And by the way, Shelby, you can interact with him on the Twitch thing if you get it. It's pretty easy. Like you can actually
Okay.
talk back and forth while he's doing the stuff, and he's got a
Yeah,
pretty.
it's just crazy.
cool
I'm
setup.
very intrigued about this shit. Yeah.
All right, Carlos, it's your turn, dude.
I'm being attacked, but I also kind of started this fight. It's kind of hard to have final words on the unique individual known as Christine Weston Chandler. All I really have to say about this, and I'm sure I will probably say this again as we continue down this saga, get this fucking individual off of social media. Get this fucking camera out of this person's face and put them in a care facility where people who actually like care about them and don't want to exploit them. Let's maybe actually set that as a precedent going forward for other individuals like this. So that way what happened doesn't happen again.
So you're saying
agree.
that don't exploit autism to affect that it make money off them, right?
Yeah, mental illness isn't a good commodity. We probably shouldn't
Yeah.
commercialize it, I would say.
No,
Hey,
definitely. That's,
Yeah.
I would
I feel like
definitely-
that's the route.
I will definitely get behind you 100%, bro.
Yeah, but in hindsight, I agree. This is fascinating and interesting, and at times funny because of its absurdity and its ridiculousness. Like it's tragic, but it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That yeah. So go ahead, Shelby. It's your final words, bud.
No, I was just saying, like Carlos said, just do your research, and if you think that people are like that, just do your research, man. I really don't have no final words to say. That I really don't know, man. That's just crazy.
That's all right, man. That's all right. I guess for mine, I'd say there's a lot of things how I felt about the whole thing. And mind you, we did talk for 30 or 40 minutes before we even started on Chris Chan. So there were other things we talked about.
Yeah,
But by and large, today was the Chris Chan thing. And I will say, if you're a younger person or you're underexposed to the whole term nice guy, or you think you fall into that category, that doesn't have to be your defining quality of who you are. Those are things that you can work on and practice, like whether you're in the workplace or you're at school or you're in college or whatever your life situation can be. And the only way, it sucks, but the only way to get better with talking and having social acuity, and a social IQ is to have those blunders, to have those moments where you are embarrassed, or maybe you say something kind of awkward. And even the people who are more gifted with speaking, like us three right here on the show, as opposed to others, we still have our moments where we fall short. That never ends. Okay, you're not gonna hit every basket in basketball. I don't care. But even then, the point is that when you have these awkward moments, instead of getting upset or feeling shunned and being negative towards that woman or towards that man or towards that person, whoever it may be, is try to have a moment when you're done to explore yourself. Like, what could I have said better? Or sometimes, like with the rejection, if it's more of a spouse or a potential relationship, there's nothing you could have done, and you have to accept that. That doesn't make them a better or worse person. That doesn't make you a better or worse person. And I think, as obvious as that sounds, it sounds so fucking cliche. I bet the vast majority of the vast majority of you, and you're listening right now, when you have those moments, you can know all these things, but insecurity comes up and self-doubt as soon as that happens. When you are rejected, it's like, what did I say? Or am I good enough? You are good as you are. It's just, you got to take and you got to give and you got to learn. And sometimes you're going to be on the other side where there's going to be that person that you just aren't interested in. And there's nothing wrong with them either.
You have to take a hint.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have that kind of respect for that kind of person on being on the other side, because at one point in your life, almost everyone is going to be on both sides of that. So
yes, of course. Oh,
just learning to get better at that, because I thought the whole nice guy thing, because that was something that struck me once upon a time, really, but I didn't understand what the whole nice guy thing was to actually literally the term being a nice guy.
The criticisms around the criticisms around nice guy sound really bad if you're only looking at it from the male perspective. If you know anything about the female perspective, you go, oh shit,
totally. And like exploring its validity, but by all counts and purposes, and women trying to keep themselves safe, they have to. And it, like I said, you are a nice guy, not a nice guy, but an actual, or you're a good person that is eligible for a relationship.
Just be a person.
A guy.
Just be a person.
Yeah. Not a bad guy, not a good guy, not anything like that. But if you're a guy with well intentions for a real relationship and she says no, and you're a good person,
you should have no problem walking away. You should have no problem walking away.
You really are a good guy. Then you understand and you move on. That's it.
Yeah.
I understand.
I don't care if you're one of us, or if you're Chris Chan, or if you're fucking Glenn Powell or Brad Pitt. There's gonna be somebody out there that just don't like you. You gotta deal with it. They just don't like you. But with that being said, I hope everyone that's listening and watching, y'all are doing well. We are going to bring a part 2, not necessarily doing the entire show for Chris Chan, but we'll do like segments of clips, so we make sure we get in other topics, because we're kind of free and we're out there, and we have our topics, and we talk about what we feel like when we feel like it. But we really appreciate the people listening. On Always Turtle, Turtles All the Ways Down. Always Turtles. I'm just making shit up now. Turtles All the Way Down. And we're going to have this, and I'm going to work to get on more platforms, and we're going to do better at
always take our advice with a pill of salt, and fucking think about what our opinions occur in your life, right?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Aye.
Yeah. So we're just one aspect of a collective perspective of the world.
Yes.
That's all it is.
We're just
Nothing more,
trying to
nothing
give
less.
you wisdom about your life and the fucking life upon our flat Earth that Carlos a pig.
I consider myself a moderate. You know, it is what it is. I'm not going to pick either side. I feel like both sides have good points.
Yes,
Just know,
yes.
audience members, that this entire show is a psyop, and it's to secretly try to get you to think the way
Yeah.
that we think because we're right.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
We're sponsored.
Of
We're
course.
sponsored by Walmart. We want to know what you think.
hey, Walmart, where you can get the one-stop shop.
It's everything you need, baby. All right, everybody, peace. Y'all have a good night, guys.
Hey,
Good night,
one love.
everybody.
Deuces.